Hello and welcome to episode 223 of the Ram Nintendo podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm adjusting to my new life of actually working in the game industry.
Yeah, Angel, that's your actual legal name. Tell us, legal middle name.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Before we go any further, before we tell you what this episode is about, before we point out that Kevin isn't here with us today. I guess after we point that out. Yeah, you are now in the industry, officially.
So, last week I started working at Santa Monica Studios, one of my favorite video game studios, as you guys know, because there was a period where I think I mentioned God of War every episode until it got replaced with Resident Evil.
Every episode.
But, yeah, it's nuts. Having worked at, the education industry.
The education industry.
Everything is an industry. I mean, it is.
It is.
I mean,
the education field. Having been in the education field,
and it kind of sucks because sometimes it does feel like, the districts and the state see it more as a business, as something that benefits the kids. But that's a whole other topic.
Let's get real deep. This is random Nintendo. So what is it about the bureaucracy surrounding the public education system that really grinds your gears, former teacher?
Because they really stress the test results and just want everyone to improve, and they don't really give us the time to help actually handle the kids that need way more time, to get to where the other kids are. So sometimes they can't even get there, but they feel like, nope, just change what you're doing. It's like, well, no, you can't really do that.
So to draw an analogy for our video game listeners at home, what you're saying is it should be an open world game, an open world experience, but instead it's a very linear path with very specific scores you have to hit in order to proceed to the next level. Not so much an open world game,
but an adaptive game. A game that literally, adapts
scaling difficulties.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now you're talking in terms of I understand.
It is interesting because in recent years they have introduced scaled standardized tests depending on how you answer a few questions. It will actually scale the difficulty of the test. But my first thought was wait a minute, then how can you, say a kid, gets, let's say the first question wrong and he gets, a scaled down test.
Yeah. And
he gets the rest of them right. Is his, let's say 99% going to be the same as, someone else that got all of them right up to that point and then the last question wrong? Because, they have, a...
Yeah, how does it... It has to scale non-linearly.
Yeah, so it just kind of... It introduces more factors that I don't think they really realize. But anyway, so... But yeah, after a long time... of trying to get into the industry, whether it was animation, film, television, or video games. At some point, I just decided to double down on video games and got my foot in the door as a QA analyst. And
at
Santa Monica Studios. I already said it.
I know, but I'm just I was just gonna say for emphasis, at one of the biggest game companies in the world.
The fact that I'm starting at a AAA studio it's mind blowing to me. And
you're literally wearing their shirt right now.
I know, it says God of War Dev Team. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know. Every day I walk into work right now, and I don't know if this feeling will eventually, become more normal, but it does feel like...
mind-blowing every day.
It feels like a dream job. It feels like, wow, I'm actually at... first of all, I'm at this studio that I love. Whoa, I get to play Smash Brothers or random games at lunch with coworkers every day.
Excuse me, you're at a Sony studio. I believe you're playing PlayStation Battle All-Stars.
Oh, that's right. And you get to work with a bunch of really awesome coworkers that are extremely friendly. There's departments near you that you have your animators, your combat analysts. It's awesome. Everything is, everything's great. I couldn't ask for something better. And oh my god, the food amenities. I definitely have to watch my weight. But
you gotta get the freshman 15 or the equivalent.
Oh man, I had the freshman negative 15 of anything because I lost a lot of weight.
No, but I mean now.
Oh, maybe. But point is, QA is really fun. Definitely enjoying my time with it, and just definitely want to learn more. Will I end up in QA as I learn more about it? I don't know, but my sights are still set on animation. We'll see whether that happens. But the game industry is interesting and always evolving, and we'll see where that goes.
And to that point, it's evolving in a lot of different ways, which we'll talk about this episode. But more to the point, though, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
And second, it works out that you're at a Sony studio because then you can keep talking about Nintendo right here on the Ram Nintendo podcast, which episode number 223 is what we're up to right now. But what I was saying, but in all seriousness, it is, you're calling about games are always evolving. It's kind of true because it really is, because we're talking about basically three buckets in this episode. First of all, we're calling this episode The Fast and the Furriest, which if Kevin was here, he'd groan. But then I'd be, no, you don't understand. Angel came up with that title, not me. And then Kim would go, oh, well, then it's awesome. So that's just pretend that happened.
Alternate title, bucket list.
Oh, that's a good one. Alternate title, meow. But yeah, and as you can guess from all these references,
if you watch the Sonic movie, they'll all be
you're chuckling heartily if you watch the Sonic movie. But yeah, we'll be talking about our takes on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which we have seen in various configurations of the two of us in normal movie format and in 4DX, which feels like 1D and 1X more than necessary. But we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the Dragon Quest Netflix movie, Dragon Quest Your Story, as well as discussing like if these movies, along with Detective Pikachu, are perhaps helping us finally turn the corner on the quality of video game movies. Like, are we finally past the like they're just cash-ins phase? And to your point about things always evolving, it kind of feels like we are. So we're going to be looking into that.
Superhero movies figured it out. Let's see if video games do it too.
Exactly. Yeah. So we talk about that. And then in like our part 2, like this is kind of like the Animal Crossing Direct, where it was divided into 3 distinct parts. Because we had part 1, which is movies. Part 2 is the Animal Crossing Direct and some other game news, including new titles from Platinum Games and Harmonix. And then part 3, after all that positive news and cool stuff coming down the pipe, we're going to talk about how we're all going to hell and we're all going to die from coronavirus, and how actually, in all seriousness, it has had an impact on gaming in a lot of negative ways, but also from a business perspective, there's maybe a silver lining for some of these companies. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. Plus, of course, what we're playing, which I guess is the epilogue or part 4, which, whatever you want to call it, where I'm going to be talking about, like, I've started diving into the world of, like, so-called walking simulators with What Remains of Edith Finch, played on Switch and really enjoyed it, so I have impressions of that. Plus, I think, Angel, with your newfound PlayStation connections, you wanted to check out Dreams, right? Or were you saving that? I think you're...
I definitely want to bring it up. And
so we'll touch on it at the end, yeah.
Yeah, and yes, so a copy provided by Sony.
By your employer.
Yep.
Which is still wild to say. And the opinions of the game and anything you say are yours and yours alone on the Red and Tail podcast. I think you legally have to disclose that, right?
Yeah, I have to have it somewhere in the bio.
Well, I said it out loud for you, so you're covered this episode.
Thank you. Definitely one of the perks is getting a bunch of, I think any like Sony first party release, like we'll most likely get a copy of. But
the company I work at owns WebMD, and they have never once given me a free shot. So I don't think
to be fair, I love Media Molecule, so even if they hadn't, I was planning on getting this game.
Right.
And to my surprise, it was like it's a $39.99 game.
You wouldn't know because Sony's not marketing the thing at all.
Even weirder.
It's weird. Sony's so weird lately in terms of marketing. If you're allowed to comment on that, I don't know. But anyway, you could get timestamps for all the topics of this episode at ramtown.com in the blog post for this episode, which is episode 223. I saved you from having to answer that.
Oh, no, so even if I did know, I wouldn't.
Right.
But to be safe, I shouldn't.
Yeah, no.
Because I still wouldn't.
I feel like I'm in a Dr. Seuss book. I don't know what's happening right now. But anyway, if I shouldn't, I wouldn't. But if I could, I would.
Yeah, I
and
wouldn't,
the
but I shouldn't.
Blue fish, one fish, two fish. But
I'd be giving wrong info.
Yeah, true. Yeah. They purposely feed you false information to see if you leak it on a Nintendo podcast. Listen to only a handful of people.
Media Molecule isn't exactly one of their smaller developers.
My theory is they don't know how to market it, and they are doing some sort of crazy upheaval right now in preparation for PS5.
To schools, honestly, that seems like.
It seems like it could be like I was about to say, because you did the Minecraft EDU stuff. You talked about it on the show when you were still in education.
Nuts, which we'll get into later, but yeah.
But anyway, let's go part by part. So part 1 was video game movies. So why don't we start there with video game movies? And to preface this, as we talk about Sonic the Hedgehog, there will be some minor spoilers here. We're not going to discuss every single plot point. Are they minor
because the spoilers don't really make that big a difference in the movie, or minor because you're not spoiling the biggest part of the movie?
Oh, you mean when Amy shows up? She doesn't. Don't worry. But no, I don't know what I mean by that. I just don't want to say we're good. I'm basically saying we're not.
Why did you say spoilers?
Because I don't know.
A spoiler's a spoiler.
You're right.
What could be minor to someone might be major
to someone else. All right, listen, guys.
Honestly,
spoiler alert. Yeah. We should have called this episode "Spoiler Alert" or "To the Spoils Go" or "All the Spoils Go To" or something. I don't know. But anyway, if you're rather going blind about Sonic and you still haven't seen it after 2 weeks, skip ahead to the next topic, where it will also be spoiled because it's the Dragon Quest movie. So skip ahead to the next topic, which is the Animal Crossing Direct. And if you're on a blackout on that, well, sorry, skip ahead to the next topic. Oh, you don't want to know about Project GG? Okay, skip to the next one. Like, we could do this all day.
I mean, I'll say if you're listening to any of these podcasts, you're probably already well aware of what you're getting yourself into.
Mm-hmm. I think so. But anyway, so yeah, let's talk about Sonic. What did you, Mr. Animator, who's now in the world of things that are animated on PlayStation.
What do I, as an animator, think of this mainly live-action movie?
Yes, please. Please do tell me. No, but what do you think of the movie as a whole? Like, what's your take on it?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with because it was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right.
I mean, I've watched it twice. Once in normal and once in 40X.
Yes, you're the one that's had the extra D and the X, which definitely sounds like some innuendo, but it's just honest.
I ate onion rings. I actually gave them an honest college try for the first time. I mean, I've had them before, but it was, I don't know.
We should preface this. He had onion rings because we went to Alamo Draft House to see it in normal dimension, not in 4DX.
Yeah.
And they had a special Sonic menu, and he got chili cheese dog and onion rings. And I got I love puns, as everyone knows. I got the gin and Sonic.
I got that too.
You did, that's right. Yeah. It was a gin and tonic, but it was blue for Sonic, and the blue was due to curacao, or however you pronounce that stuff, that made it way too sweet. It was like a liquid Jolly Rancher. But anyway, back to your impressions of the movie.
I mean, as a movie itself, I mean, the plot was very, I guess we'll call it... Very there.
Yeah. It existed.
Everything was functional. It did what it needed to do to progress the plot.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, like, is all you need from a Sonic movie. I don't think anyone was expecting... like the Godfather level, or I don't know, like, you know, to like find like the meaning of life, or, you know, like something that will redefine cinema.
I mean, I was expecting
and
Blue
if you
Casablanca.
are, then I don't know what to tell you. You're definitely looking in the wrong places. I mean, have you seen Sonic's video game track record? Like, is this what you're going to expect from his first movie, let alone a live action one?
Maybe someone really likes that one scene in Sonic 2006 where he makes out with the human and is expecting the Notebook, but with Sonic.
Okay, people keep saying that he makes out with the human. He does not. He's like unconscious, and the princess like kisses him to wake him up.
Listen,
but yeah,
a human's lips touched an anthropomorphic hedgehog's lips.
Yeah,
and it kicked off a whole furry movement.
Should it have happened? No. But yeah, I mean, this movie, it did what it needed to do. It could have been a lot worse, and I think, and very rightly so, everyone's expectations were, I mean, outside of the much better redesign.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like everyone's expectations were so low that, you know, because it was debatably like a mediocre movie, everyone was like, oh my god, this thing was amazing, because it didn't suck. But
Isn't it funny how like saying a bar does that?
But it did a lot of things right. Like, a lot of nods, a lot of things like were really well appreciated. Even like how Sonic Saves the Day was even like, oh wow, it's basically what he does to beat Robotnik every time. And I don't know. I mean, I think for all those like small details and stuff, I mean, a lot of fans, like rightfully so, should have liked it. It was a great movie. It was a great Sonic movie. To jump on that, I thought a lot of the fan service was really good, because I felt like there were two levels to it, which is kind of what Detective Pikachu did too. But there's the outright in your face obvious ones. Look, on the bandana, it's the emblem from the game. Look, he does a freeze frame when he's running of his Smash Bros pose. Look, he has another freeze frame of his other Smash Bros pose. Like, there's a lot of really obvious ones. Or like at one point his bag spills, or his bag of rings spills, and then it's like, oh, all his rings dropped when he got hurt. Like, they have those. Or, you know, like Green Hills, Montana. By the way, my old homestay in Montana, big role in that movie. I was kind of like, that's cool. But, you know, even some stuff like the Mushroom Zone, where they make all these jabs about how he hates the Mushroom Planet, which automatically, initially I was like, oh, that's a Mario dig. But then by the end you realize, no, it's actually Sonic 3's Mushroom Zone, like straight up. But, yeah, I thought the fan service was really good, because they had another level beyond that. Like, this one wasn't subtle or anything, but my absolute favorite thing is when the crazy guy in town claims he keeps seeing the Blue Devil, and he draws a sketch, and he holds it up, and it's the Sonic meme from, you know, the internet. And, yeah, like, straight up, it's the same art. It's a great nod to, like, not just the games, but the fandom around the games. And that's what I thought was cool. They did a lot of stuff like that, where they were nodding to not just, like, hey, remember in the game you did this, but, like, the culture that's been built up around it. Right? Like, I thought that was really cool. Sonic in the 90s was, you know, attitude, trying to be cool, that kind of thing. But I feel like Sonic in the late 2010s, or in the mid 2010s, was when his humor, I mean, I feel like the Twitter redefined when the Twitter account, Sonic,
when they snarked it up a little.
Yeah, when that Twitter account first started, I feel like that kind of redefined modern Sonic, because even the really great and underappreciated Sonic Boom TV show, not the game,
right?
I forget the game existed. That show was, I don't know, it's definitely one of my favorite adaptations of Sonic, like, period. and especially the way Eggman and everyone. But I mean, that show was very meta. Like, it doesn't take itself seriously, and they also like really know the fans. Like, everything is just catered to them, and I feel like.
Yeah, and I feel like they did
the movie kind of has the same energy.
Yeah, it has that same energy. I mean, there's parts where Sonic's doing so many wisecracks. Like, one scene I thought was very well done was, it's super, like, it's not like, haha, what a great scene. It's just like, oh, that's clever. Is, the whole movie he's saying, like, dumb one-liners, basically. Like, Sonic-esque one-liners. And at one point, he's, like, saying them to someone, and they're like, hold on. And they go into another room, and they're starting to say to another person, like, he doesn't shut up. And in the background, you just hear him continuing to nobody to make all these dumb one-liners. And just, like, that's actually pretty funny. But they do, like, some real fan service, too, because they have, like, at the beginning, where he's being chased as Baby Sonic, and they have,
the echidna?
Yeah, thank you. I was about to say the echidnas, but that's not how you pronounce that word. The echidnas, and, like, they've confirmed that is an intentional reference. They were like, we can make them random baddies, but we might as well make it canon. Which then confuses me about the owl protector, because is there anything like that?
Longclaw, to my knowledge, wasn't a character before.
But now is.
I mean, maybe it's the wife of the great owl from The Legend of Zelda.
Ooh, some Smash Bros. Maybe they're building a Smash
Bros.
Bros.
But it was cool seeing like the Echidna tribe. I forget what their proper name is, but I mean that's what they are.
Yeah, or like so that was cool. Like I did like.
But apparently that was like a change that they did later on because initially they were supposed to be like these alligator people.
But there is an alligator person. What's his name? I'm blanking out. He's in Sonic Heroes. You know that?
No, yeah, you mean Vex.
Vex.
But they also, they ended because there was going to be like a secondary villain from Sonic's world chasing him back in the real world.
Well, they also at one point they also were going to have Supersonic in it, and I feel like not to make a pun on like same energy, but like I feel like literally when they charged him up in the movie, it was everything except turning him yellow. Like to me, it basically was Supersonic without the Chaos Emeralds. And on some level, they said they wanted to save it. There's an interview the director James J. Fowler did on comicbook.com, I think. But there's an interview he did where he was basically like, yeah, we were going to do Supersonic. And then we're like, you know what? This is the first movie. The first game didn't have it. We'll wait. Do it in the second one.
I think
but it had that vibe. Like, it totally was a nod to Super... Like, if you're a fan and you know Supersonic, like, that is sort of Supersonic. That's like a weird movie form of Supersonic.
And yeah, it made the movie feel simpler or, like, smaller in scope. But it's definitely necessary because now, like, the foundation is set for, like, what seems like is going to be an overhyped second movie where the bar is going to be too high and
it's going to fall. Yeah. And you know, for all the things we're saying, like, oh, they did this right, they did that right. I can't believe they were in San Francisco. Robotnik has a semi-truck. Sonic is running away from him, and no one stopped to go, wait, Sonic Adventure 2 battle, and have the scene where Sonic's outrunning the truck down the hill. Yeah. Like, and they could even set it to that music, which is like one of the probably most well-known Sonic songs. I mean, they shouldn't do that; it's a little too in your face. But they could do a music cue with the notes or something. But like looking back, how on earth did they not do a nod to that? Like, that's kind of a weird oversight. Yeah. It's like so like right in their face, you know. But yeah, to your point about like the the movie's plot was there. Yeah, I mean it was. I feel like the thing about Sonic and Detective Pikachu is kind of the same way, but they masked it a bit better. Is Sonic is is unapologetically a movie for kids. Like, it resonates if you're a fan, and it's fine, but it's definitely like some of the humor, he's basically a hyperactive kid, Sonic.
Literally.
And like, they let Jim Carrey do his thing, but not like to the extent of like the super absurd of like Ace Ventura, which it never quite clicked with me as a kid, but I know you were a big fan of that as a kid. But it still is very much like a kid first movie, I feel like, right?
Yeah, and I feel like people have to, understand, I mean, Sonic was and still is for the most part like aimed at a younger demographic. Yeah. So if you're like in your 40s and you're like, oh god, like this movie was so childish, I don't like it, well then because it was.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like somehow, and maybe this is my bias showing, but I feel like with Detective Pikachu, because Pokemon's a little more universal now, like all the people that grew up with it still play it. And Sonic, I don't know if that's as true. I could be wrong. I think a lot of people still do.
Everyone still likes Sonic.
Yeah, but I don't think it has quite the...
Not everyone has still like been keeping up with the games. Only few of them are like, oh yeah, that Sonic game I played was like Sonic 2 or Sonic 3.
Right.
It's like, for the most part, most people either... Or maybe it was Sonic Adventure 2. But it feels like almost everyone fell off around, I guess, Sonic 06 period.
Right. Yeah, I told you that scene. No, but then like with Pokemon, it had the resurgence with Pokemon Go that kind of brought an older demographic, and you could tell in some of the jokes that like Pikachu would deliver, like Ryan Reynolds would deliver, there was a bit more bite or edge than I feel like Sonic didn't have, which is weird because Sonic's the one with the attitude back in the day. But I'm not saying one's better or worse. I'm saying they're just in different lanes slightly. So you just need to go in kind of expecting that. But I thought Ben Schwartz did a great job as Sonic. I mean, he's not the real Sonic voice, but like, I'm a biased Ben Schwartz fan. I should just say that. Like, John Ralphio is my favorite character on Parks and Rec, and I don't know if you have heard or seen his long form live improv show he does with Thomas Middleditch.
I haven't.
Oh well, let me tell you about it. No, but he does this long form improv thing with Thomas Middleditch, the guy from Silicon Valley, and like, he's really funny, Ben Schwartz. So like, I thought like he was a great fit for it. But yeah, it's like it's good, but that's the thing, is like, it's good, which you can't usually say about video game movies. Like, I feel like Detective Pikachu, personally, I prefer Detective Pikachu because I have my own personal affinity for Pokemon and nostalgia of growing up and wanting to see that world come alive so badly, and you know, that makes me rate Detective Pikachu probably higher than Sonic. But like, they both are this sort of cut from a different cloth than other video game movies before them. They're very much like the Iron Man pivot that happened with superhero movies, or like the Dark Knight pivot where they went from a certain type of movie to a different type of movie. You know what I mean? But I mean, what would you rate higher of the two, Sonic or Detective Pikachu?
Sonic. I mean, as much as I love Pokemon, like, just as movies that I watched, like, the Pokemon were great, but literally only the Pokemon and the designs were carrying the whole movie.
There were only 12 of them as well.
Like if you take away the Pokemon, honestly, the movie would have been almost not enjoyable. Like, I would have probably rated it as an okay to I wouldn't really recommend it movie unless you really like Pokemon. But because the designs were there and they did a good job with them, it kind of elevated to like, all right, it's an okay, good movie. I mean, it's definitely one of the better video game movies, but that bar isn't really that high.
Right.
And Sonic, I mean, even though the plot plays it super safe, I mean, at least I was able to enjoy the plot.
Right.
I mean, I can't really find any flaws with it because it did what it had a job and it did it.
Right.
Pokemon
was kind of convoluted.
It was convoluted, extremely, like, I don't know. It's just funny because they're both formulaic and they both do some cliche stuff, but it hurt. I don't know. It kind of was more painful to watch in Pokemon than it was.
I think because Sonic embraced the fact that it was a road trip buddy movie, like full stop, and Pokemon tried to be like, "Oh, we're just like crazy. Like what if they're like supernatural things?"
Yeah, like it didn't take it so seriously sometimes, and sometimes
Yeah.
it did. And I mean, the acting was like literally all over the place.
Oh yeah. There wasn't really the same star power attached to it. I mean, you had Ryan Reynolds, but there was no one on screen that you would like recognize, like a Jim Carrey type. Which I mean,
it's not like they need it. But,
no, it doesn't necessarily matter. But like in terms of like they wrote that role for Jim Carrey. Yeah. This one, they just found people that could fill the role. Like, it's not, it's written differently, is what I'm trying to say. But I mean, I mean, I guess to the favor of what's his name, Cyclops, James Marsden.
Sure. I mean, he seems to already been typecast as a guy that hangs out with
CG animals. Yeah, because Peter Rabbit, right?
Hop.
Right.
Yeah, Peter Rabbit is a different movie. Hop is like the.
How many CG rabbits are there?
Just two, but Hop.
Well, that's one more than there should be.
Hop is like an Easter bunny that doesn't want to be the Easter bunny, so he goes off and becomes a rock star, and he runs into James Marsden, and they go off on an adventure, and then James Marsden becomes the new Easter bunny. Yes.
What? But he's a human.
There's this whole thing
He's
about
Westworld.
There's like a chick, like a little like baby.
Oh, like
chick.
a baby bird.
They're like the elves of that universe that I guess have to like paint all the eggs. I guess that's how they work them in. And then there's like a chick that wants to like break out of that role and be like, hey, I already know how the factories run. Maybe I should be in charge of it because the son bunny doesn't want to take over the company from the family. But then the father bunny is like, no, you can't do it because you're not a rabbit. It has to be a rabbit. And I guess that chick ends up becoming evil, and I guess the dad gets over his preconceptions that, okay, I guess it doesn't have to be a rabbit, and so he becomes the first non-rabbit Easter bunny.
So what's crazy is when they first revealed Sonic the first time, Sonic looked like it'd be the worst of the two movies he was alongside a CG animal in, somehow.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was possible based on that description, but Sonic, the first trailer gave the impression that'd be the case. That's wild. That's an insane plot. Okay. Wow.
I guess they really thought they had something with the Easter demographic.
Is there an Easter demographic that's not just like
maybe they're like
into Jesus?
We need to capitalize Easter movies because Christmas movies are hot. Halloween movies work sometimes.
Let's try Easter.
Yeah, untapped market.
That's it. There's a reason apparently. But I do have to ask, so how was it in 4DX? And what made it 4DX? And what's that extra D all about?
I mean, 4DX is basically you're getting the seats from Universal Studios.
Okay.
So, like force feedback. They have a very wide range of movement, way more than you would expect for a theater.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know what your expectations are for what moving seats in a theater would be, but they move way more than you would think.
My expectation is they don't move.
They have fog, they throw water at you, the lightning, like they have like extra lights on the side to like really hit home that, there's electricity going on. They have like, force feedback on the back of the chair. They have speakers in the seat so that, gunshots and that kind of stuff like sound extra loud. And I mean, the running scenes and anytime there was action, like, I don't know, it definitely immerses you more into it. I will say that. It definitely helps with the immersion. It's not like necessary, but it's fun.
Right.
It's really
Makes
just fun.
a theme park ride instead of just a movie.
Because, like, going to the movies, I mean, it has lost a lot of its luster over the years. I mean, it's just on a bigger screen. And honestly, like, I don't know, maybe it's because we're getting older, or maybe I'm just
I like going to the movies. I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
I'm okay with watching certain movies, but I don't know. There was a period where I would I have to, I just wanted to go to the movie just to simply go to the movies, and I wouldn't really care what I would watch.
Oh, I'm not so much like that.
Now, I'm even, for some movies that I'm, semi-interested in, I wouldn't mind just waiting and watching it at home from the comfort of my house.
See, I like going to the movie. I like leaving my home to go do things. I don't know. I really like going to movies because of the popcorn and you're in a weird chair. You don't know what's happening in that chair before you.
I could care less about that unless, it would... Yeah, like I said, it would have to be for a movie I really want to watch.
I'm definitely the opposite.
Something I would have an unflinching obligation to watch, maybe a Pixar movie, or I'd probably do that for the Monster Hunter movie when that eventually comes out.
I just like events. I like turning it into an event. And it's not just I'm gonna go see Sonic. It's it's not like I'm watching Sonic. I'm going to see Sonic, and it's there's a overly sweet drink here, and I got my popcorn, and the movie's on a huge thing in front of me instead of just a TV in front of me. And I don't know. I just like making events out there.
I mean, that being said, that's why the majority of the times I've gone to the movies lately has been either a 3D screening or a 4DX screening, just because it makes them more unique.
Right. And yeah, the more premium type of movie going experience is what has to happen to keep them afloat, because a lot of people, the majority of people are like you and not me these days, and prefer watching at home and just watching whenever. While I'm very much still I like turning things. I mean, anyone that's listened knows I like events. I like the spectacle. I like I like going and just being in the thing. So yeah.
Yeah, you make me sick.
I know. But thanks to 4DX, in part, Sonic had a pretty good opening weekend. Actually, we're comparing it to Detective Pikachu. It beat Detective Pikachu in its opening weekend. It is now the best opening for a video game movie ever. $57 million in its first weekend versus Pikachu's $54 million. Yeah, it ended up being the fourth best President's Day weekend, so 4-day weekend that a movie's ever had, $70 million in 4 days, and is now made over $200 million worldwide. So, it helps that it was a good movie by comparison to what people thought it would be, and has good word of mouth. But I think also Jim Carrey gave it an edge over Detective Pikachu. I could say before because you have that star power attached. And I think a lot of credit, we talked about the movie itself, but a lot of credit, I don't know if it's just me, but Paramount, they really marketed this thing way heavier than I feel like Detective Pikachu has ever marketed. I mean, here's just a sample of what they did for Sonic versus Detective Pikachu. They had a Super Bowl pregame spot. They had a giant Times Square takeover. They got Wiz Khalifa, Lil Yachty, and Ty Dolla $ign to do a song for the movie, turned that song into a TikTok challenge, and then had, because that's where all the youths are, but then they had over 1.8 billion views of all the different videos using that song. Then they've got the Snapchat filters. Then they've got the Puma shoes. Then they've got the Jack in the Box mini taco campaign. And why they didn't do chili cheese dogs or team up with Sonic Drive-Ins, who already sell chili cheese dogs, that's beyond me. But the point is, huge marketing push, and there's a nice big hole in the current movie release schedule to take advantage of, because it's not like kids were about to go see the R-rated Birds of Prey. This was basically the only game in town. Although, funny enough, both Birds of Prey and Sonic feature the same hang on, let's rewind this, voiceover narration and visual gag where they actually rewind a piece of the movie. So I thought I saw them 2 days apart. I don't know, but
so many movies have to do that recently.
I don't know, but they did it literally 2 days apart. I watched them 2 days apart, and I'm like, what? But yeah, point is, the movie did great. But I'm kind of curious what your take is on the fact that Sega did not like have a game of any sort to go along with this. Like, this is a Sonic, like, resurgence of sorts. Like, even with the movie's delay, they had 3 months, and there's still no new Sonic game. Like, Sonic's a big character, but this is a huge boost to the IP, and I'm surprised that the most they did was, like, put Baby Sonic and Sonic Run on mobile, and I think they had a sale on the eShop for a few days. Like, it just seems like such a missed opportunity to make a Sonic game or release a Sonic game or time the release of a Sonic game.
Well, they added Baby Mario to Sonic Run.
Baby Sonic. Yeah, I just said that.
I know, yeah, but
Baby
that's
Mario,
like,
that'd be a weird one.
I know, yeah, but I mean that.
But like, it just
that.
seems like I don't know why they didn't just like, even if it's a game unrelated to the movie, they have a captive audience of kids that are very into Sonic right now, and I guess you can give them a game from 2 years ago. I mean, I get in a way like
they're releasing Sonic on Sonic Forces for free next month
on PSN, right?
Yeah, PlayStation Plus. Yeah.
Or PlayStation Plus.
Right.
Look at you shilling for your new employer. No, but I'm just kidding.
Wow.
But I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's just weird to me. I mean, Sega's not the only one that made this mistake. Do you remember when Detective Pikachu came out last year with no game anywhere near it, and then Nintendo decided months later to announce, "Oh, we'll port the 3DS one to Switch and we'll change the ending," and then like it just never came out. Like, we're still waiting on it. They said 2020. The iron's not hot anymore for Detective Pikachu. Like, no one's going to care. I mean, they were more coordinated with sticking Mewtwo raids in Sword and Shield in tandem with the release of Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution on Netflix the other day, and with announcing a weird mythical monkey Pokemon named Zarude, who I assume wrote Sandstorm.
Calm down, Jason. I'm sensing a lot of animosity toward that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they're better at doing that, but they can't get a Detective Pikachu game out within a year of the movie. Like, unless they announce it in a surprise direct this month.
Are you going to rewatch the Pokemon movie?
We already watched it in Japanese last summer at Anime Expo, and you can hear our impressions of it back in our episode.
Are you going to rewatch it?
I know you did, but I'm going to dodge that. No, probably not. I heard the dub's not great. Like, Brock sounds funky.
There was a problem with our initial viewing.
It was not in a language we knew?
No. That's fine. I think it was either too small or maybe... We were sitting pretty far back.
We were pretty far back, and they were showing it on convention screens, yeah. Are you saying we should rewatch it after we record today?
No.
Okay.
Maybe. No.
We'll see what time it is.
We'll see.
I like how, like, now everyone's just weighing on, like, did they watch it? Did they not? We'll never know. But, yeah, so I didn't mean to go off on Detective Pikachu's poor team like that, but, like, how do you not, or Sonic, how do you not have games for game characters and movies? Like, toy lines are always at the ready. How are games not?
Dude, like I said, and like you said, Baby Sonic got it covered. That's all they needed.
Is it? Because that's free to play. Well, I guess they can make money that way. All right, Baby Sonic.
And it was only for a limited time.
In Baby Sonic, we trust. Fine. I guess the real bigger question than where are the games is, so what do you think, now that Sonic's out, with the Mario movie, can Nintendo and Illumination actually match it? Do you think, like, it just seems more ripe to mess up, doesn't it?
I know. There are too many things that I'm worried about. And for one, believe it or not,
here comes the list.
One, unlike most people that see Miyamoto's involvement as a reason to be unconcerned, I don't know. I feel like Miyamoto doesn't have the same seal of quality he used to.
Whoa. Mr. Placed it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was a good line. I'm sorry. You're literally wearing a PlayStation shirt. I can't help myself.
I'm not. I'm literally not.
That's a brand owned by them. You literally are.
I'm literally not wearing a PlayStation shirt. It does not say PlayStation or anything.
Actually, it's in the bottom right corner, under the table. Don't ask how I can see it.
That's just the logo.
Yeah, PlayStation.
Yeah, but anyway. I already forgot what I was going to say. Oh,
Miyamoto seal quality.
His seal quality hasn't been there. I don't know what his involvement there is going to be outside of... We probably just won't see any made-up characters. But who knows? Maybe they're going to be like... As a protagonist, it's going to be this brand new character.
Oh, God.
So we have his point of view while we're following his adventure alongside, Mario.
They better not do a fish out of water like, this kid fell through his toilet and he ended up through a warp pipe in the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario, he's a plumber. He's got to fix the whole situation right up. And here's Kevin Hart as Toad. Which is, that part has to happen. A running gag, it has to happen.
I don't know, I mean... And also, like, so there's that. I mean, obviously, I hope for the best. Mm-hmm. But whatever. Illumination... at their best, they had Despicable Me.
Yeah.
And I guess the sequel was I mean, I enjoyed the sequel, but outside of that, they're just aggressively average.
Yeah.
Like, their movies, like, are very forgettable. They make a ton of money, which is probably why they went with them, because they have one of the lower... on average, the budget for their movies are a little lower than Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar. Mm-hmm. Yet they make a ton of money. So they have a formula down. They know what's going to get people to watch their movies. I mean, how many of you remember Sing or watched Sing? Do you remember Sing?
I more remember the Wii game, or was it Wii U game called Sing that was in Europe that we never even got.
Or Life of Pets.
Life of Pets I remember.
Too, but I mean, like, even if you watch them, like, the plots are very...
I never saw it. I just know it exists.
Yeah, they're very by the books. I mean, I honestly can't remember their other flagship movies besides Despicable Me.
And the problem with being by the books in this case is, while Sonic being by the books can be good because they're making a video game work as a movie that's working as a movie is just a boring movie. Yeah. It's not adapting. It's just like, oh, they couldn't come up with a clever idea, opposed to, like, combining different elements.
It's like, their track record doesn't really leave me feeling like, oh, man, I don't know, they're going to really, like, pull out every stop. Or maybe that's what Miyamoto there to make sure. Also, they tend to... Their stylization of characters is all over the place. Yeah. Sometimes they could look really cool, but other times I feel like, especially the people, are very hit or miss. They either look like interesting character designs, or they look kind of ugly.
Like Gru.
And I know for a fact, and I'm not... Well, this is just in my head. My bet is that they're not going to stay on model because, I don't know... It just seems to be what's going to happen. Well, and everyone's going to be stylized. Mario's probably going to have, like, a very tubby stomach with, like, short, stocky legs. Everyone's going to just look weird. And I bet Bowser's going to look... I don't know. I'm probably going to hate how he looks. But everyone's just going to look maybe, like... I don't know. I'm guessing, like, very thin limbs and very big bodies. I mean, look at Gru. He's, like... He's kind of like Eggman in body.
You know, honestly, like... If they did an animated Sonic movie, the Illumination style pretty much is it.
Yeah.
Like, they should have switched the teams.
Honestly, like, I feel like if I had to pick a studio, and since we all know, maybe, like, if Disney, ignoring Disney and Pixar, like, I feel like DreamWorks would have probably been a good one. Because, like, I mean, when DreamWorks tries, they hit it out of the park. When they don't care and they're trying to be another Illumination, they do well, too.
Right.
I mean, they're just as forgettable as them. But, I mean, they had How to Train Your Dragon. When they tried with Shrek, they had the first... 2 Kung Fu Pandas.
Right. I mean, you know. Like, I just don't mention the other one.
Well, you know, but by the third...
2 out of 3 is a decent batting average.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're Disney, the third movie is never... I mean, honestly, like, even, especially for Pixar, like, Cars 3, I thought was really good. I legitimately really enjoyed that film. Maybe as much as... I felt it almost, like, redeemed the series a little. I didn't watch part 2. I don't plan on watching part 2, and I don't think I will.
Is that when they become spies in Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first one was... It kind of felt like a Illumination movie, or it just felt like a cash grab, which I guess it was.
It was a merchandising move, yeah.
But, you know, I mean, Toy Story 3 is great. Even Toy Story 4, I really love. I
watched 4. I'm waiting for it to hit Disney Plus because I missed it in theaters.
Isn't it already there?
Is it?
I think it is.
Oh, I know what I'm doing this weekend. But that's not really weird. I know what I'm doing.
But, yeah. Studio, I don't know. Everything about it, I'm just kind of worried. And then also... I don't know. I mean, voice casting is just...
I'm really worried.
Peach, sure, we all know how she sounds. I mean, it's the same woman that does the girl from Left 4 Dead, and I forget what else. Like, it's the same voice actors, even though they sound nothing alike. It's, like, interesting range. But Mario's not Mario without Charles Martinet. And everyone knows they're going to get, like, a celebrity voice actor to get Mario, unless... They do it the other way, and they're just still going to have Charles Martinet do Mario, and they'll either take one of 2 routes. They'll either have him just speak in his gibberish, or just say Yahoo, you know, very short stuff, which would be hilariously...
weird in a Mario movie.
Yeah, hilariously weird, but also pretty great if they make it work.
What if...
And just have someone else talk. You know, like, I would love it if, like, Mario and Luigi just spoke in gibberish, kind of like in, the Mario and Luigi games.
So, that's what I say. What if we're looking at this wrong? What if, it's a Mario movie, but we're seeing like, well, how you adopt storyless movie, a storyless game like Mario into a Mario movie. That was literally something that when we went to the 25th anniversary screening of the original Mario movie,
now they have RPGs to pull from.
That's what I'm about to say. What if what they're actually building is a movie adaptation of a Mario and Luigi game or a Paper Mario game? In the same way that Detective Pikachu was a side story of Pokemon, what if the Mario movie is a side story of a Mario game? And what if Mario, while in the movie, is not really like in the movie? The same way Detective Pikachu is, he's Pikachu.
Oh,
but
like set in the Mario universe?
It's set in the Mario universe. Like, they can also do, because, I mean, I know I was making a joke. I hope they don't do a fish out of water in reverse. Where it's like, I fell through my toilet and now I'm in the Mushroom Kingdom. But, like, what if they did the flip on the, like, furry friend teams up with human in an unexpected place and have, like, you follow a Toad or a Goomba and then Mario comes in at some point in the movie and becomes a part of it, but isn't the central...
I mean, honestly...
How would be the assistant from Paper Mario? I forgot the character's name. The female Goomba. Her.
Gumbella.
Or something. I don't know. It's a movie. Get creative.
Honestly, like, my hunch, just because I feel like Illumination is, I mean, they do Minions, so, like...
Yeah.
I feel like they saw Toad and just instantly saw marketability. Minions. And they're going to be like, all right, so our main character is going to be a Toad.
Voiced by Kevin Hart, which is our running thing.
It's going to be, like, their first day as, like, Peach's guard, and then... you're going to follow. So he's like, he's still green. He hasn't really seen, like, a lot of, like, action. And Bowser comes in, kidnaps Peach, and it's kind of his fault. And he's trying to make it right, and he has to, like, kind of go save her on her own while Mario's also doing it. And he kind of, like...
And they crisscross paths.
Yeah, they crisscross paths a few times, but, we're mainly following him.
And then this Toad perhaps succeeds, and we find out at the end of the movie it's an origin story for Captain Toad.
Characters, yeah.
Oh, dude, there we go.
Yeah.
It's the origin story for Captain Toad. Like, that would be an okay Mario movie.
Yeah.
And they can do whatever they want with the voices and it won't be weird. Yeah. And one other thing that's reassuring is you're saying you don't know if you necessarily trust me most pouring it. Well, here's an interesting tidbit. Nintendo is being so protective about this movie, they own the rights to the movie, not Universal, not Illumination.
Interesting.
So that means they're going to consider it part of their canon and their crop of properties. Meaning, Captain Toad origin story... which I'm really liking the sound of now that I'm saying it out loud a few times. Captain Toad origin story. No, but that, like, actually could work, and then they could feed it into a game directly and have it all be part of a connected universe, MCU style, but across mediums. Yeah. Just saying, that actually could work.
Honestly, Nintendo owning the rights, or just having learned that, kind of
gives you some reassurance.
Yeah, it gives me some reassurance.
It's the same reassurance that I felt when
Nintendo,
I found out.
Like, they are really protective of their properties, especially after the trauma from which they're now recovering from. But
yeah, and I think that's partly what also.
Because I would love for them to try it with other properties. Maybe like an F-Zero movie or.
Ooh, well, they tried the anime. Didn't really work. I mean, the show was fine, but no one watched it. They tried it with Kirby. That didn't last very long.
I don't know. They could have gone a different direction with the anime. I mean, they did
the anime was...
The anime, I mean, they did what we kind of just suggested. They create a new character and follow his story as... Well,
but
that character did become the new Captain Falcon.
And back up.
But, I mean, I guess it was an origin
spoilers.
Story.
Back up.
Oh, yeah, Captain Falcon.
Ours isn't a new character.
That gets passed around.
Our only in the anime. Our story isn't the new character. It's the Captain Toad origin story. It is the Iron Man of the NCU.
That's true. Captain Toad was already Captain Toad when we first meet him.
It's the Iron Man of the NCU. How did he get the rank of captain? What did he do to achieve that status? That is what we'll find out in Captain Toad's movie set in the Mario universe and kicking off the NCU, which will eventually cross with the SCU, which is the Sonic Cinematic Universe, in a Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games movie, which, as I was joking on Twitter with one of our longtime listeners, Kurt, we were talking about how in the Sonic movie there's a scene where Dr. Robotnik is, this was on Twitter, but is skiing, and that might be a subtle reference to the broader M&SCU, which is Mario. Oh, sorry, M&SAOGCU, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Cinematic Universe. Because listen, if the Olympics are canceled due to coronavirus, which is a very real possibility, someone needs their Olympic fix. And what better way than in 7 years from now with a movie?
I mean, yeah, and if they tie them all together, I mean, with their Nintendo Cinematic Universe, then eventually
it's the Smash Bros.
Yeah, our end game will be Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I would probably be okay with that. And then Detective Pikachu. I mean, everyone joked.
Pokemon are in.
And everyone joked, what if at the end of Detective Pikachu, like, there was Mario with an eye patch welcoming him to the Smash Bros. Initiative? What if?
I mean, they literally have Master Hand as the common foe.
What if? Just saying. But before we get too down this road, there's a whole different video game movie that came out right alongside Sonic. And it's maybe a good point of reference for what happens if you do try and turn an RPG like Mario & Luigi or Paper Mario into a fully CG animated movie, which they did with Dragon Quest, Your Story, which hit Netflix as an original, even though it's just translated.
That's what they do to all their anime.
I know, it's kind of strange.
It's kind of dirty.
It's kind of lying.
I don't like it.
It's weird. It's weird because like they also Netflix makes their own anime.
It's literally like that comic strip that shows like a little blob like saying like I created this, and then like handing it to someone to show it to them, and then they're like you created this, and then the person leaves and they're like I created this.
Yeah, but it's very strange. But you just watched Your Story the other day. Wait, that sounds kind of... You watched Dragon Quest, Your Story.
It wasn't my story, though. It wasn't really the viewer's story. I mean...
And again, real quick, potential spoilers here, so just, again, you can skip ahead to the next topic. Timestamps are on the site.
I mean, the only Dragon Quest game that I've been playing is Dragon Quest 11. This one...
Based on 5.
Yeah,
right?
it's based on 5.
Hey, surprise appearance! Look who showed up. It's Kevin. Wait,
how many of you noticed that we didn't introduce Kevin in this episode?
Well, considering we said he's not here, and then, you missed the entire Sonic discussion and Mario movie.
Okay.
The episode is called Fast and the Furriest, by the way.
Fast and the Furious. It's an angel title. So he...
That's not too bad.
See, I told you. I said if I said it's a me title, you wouldn't like it, but if it's a him title...
Is it a you title?
It's a him title.
I mean, yeah, that's not bad.
What if I said it was a me title?
It's not bad.
Oh.
He don't judge.
Wow, he does. But anyway, while you get set up, would you like to tell us about Dragon Quest Your Story for those at home who aren't watching Kevin... walk out of the room? He just got here. Where's he going? Anyway,
he has things to do. So Dragon Quest, this kind of gave me like a brief look at what would have happened, because like the idea was being tossed around that they were going to adapt, I think, Pokemon Red or Blue into a single movie, and in my head I'm like, all right, so it's like 90% of the movie is going to be a montage, because like how do you like squish like 40 plus hours of game into like a 1.5 or 2 hour long movie?
It's a very long game,
especially Dragon Quest, because that's like it's an RPG, and just as you would expect, it was like montage the movie, but not even montage the movie. It was like, I don't even know how to describe it, because
we should probably point out Kevin has to somehow get a chair in here. We've never done an episode that feels this live as this.
Yeah, well,
I know, right?
Well, anyway, this movie does just that. Try to squeeze in 100 plus hours of video game into an 1.5 hour long movie, which kind of blows my mind. Usually, especially Japan, when they have their anime movies, sometimes they...
How can you say anime in a hushed tone? When they have their anime.
Sometimes like they could be
There's a great divide between anime fans and video game fans. Have you ever seen that video of the kid like busting down the door with a Minecraft pickaxe and like a Minecraft sword, and he goes, "Attention, fellow gamers, no anime beyond this point."
I've not seen that. No, but to be fair, I don't really watch anime, and I do play video games somewhat. So
yeah, we tried showing you My Hero.
But you also pointed out it's one of the most boring episodes you've watched.
That was a really bad episode to start you off with.
Are you gonna watch the movie?
Yes, because it takes place after the manga.
What?
Yeah.
Why are you not whispering manga? Why is it
because of the divide between anime.
The book is better.
Okay.
Well, let me know when you watch it, because I actually do want to watch it.
I'm done to watch it. All right, Dragon Quest.
You were saying.
So, yeah, this movie is based on the fifth. How to say that? The fifth book. The fifth movie.
The fifth volume.
Yeah. The fifth game.
Well, volume would work.
Yeah, the fifth volume. And
of the Dragon Quest saga.
I can't really do it justice or trying to explain it without like at least like recapping a little bit of it. So let me just tell you what happens at the beginning.
Go for it.
So this movie is definitely like we already used this term, but a love letter to Dragon Quest fans. Like no doubt about that. It literally starts with like NES style visuals of like pretty much the game playing itself. You're kind of watching like the prologue. Like you see like, oh, there's like this warrior and his wife, they have a baby, and then the baby, he kind of grows up and starts fighting alongside this childhood friend. They defeat a monster, and then it shows like the kid is now like, you know, like he's like 8 or 9 or around that. And then all of a sudden he's like, all right, you're gonna have to go. We're gonna, and then just abruptly, this movie does it. It just abruptly cuts to like the next scene, and they're like, we're gonna go like take care of a prince. Oh, that sounds cool. And then they cut, hey, this is the prince, and then like they're meeting the prince already, and then they're just getting
they're like little mini stories that are strung together.
I guess it's like mini stories,
or like
vignettes. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's a good way to put it, but like the way they cut it, like as I put in my tweet, like it gives you whiplash, because you're like, they just introduced this prince, and then suddenly like he gets kidnapped, and then you're like, oh no, like this is a big deal, we have to go save him, and then it immediately cuts to like
him already saved.
No, more like the dad like already like losing in the fight, and he's like about to die, and then
wait, what?
And then suddenly like the dad dies, and then it abruptly cuts to like 10 years later, where he's been a slave, I guess, for 10 years.
I mean, Lion King did that time jump too.
But
Mufasa died in 10 years later.
It's not wrong. It's good he's here now because he's not wrong.
Yeah, but the Lion King at least like eases you into it. This is like straight up happens, and yeah, the movie just tends to do that. Like throughout its runtime, you pretty much see like 3 generations like live on, and the plots get crazy. And there is like an actual montage later on where you do like pretty much see like typical like the video game quest stuff. Like, oh, he's collecting the orb thing.
Is it set to a cheesy 80s
He's
tune?
on a... No. This is what's really great about it. It's set to a lot of the music from the games.
Oh, okay.
Like really nice orchestrated pieces. And even though I haven't played Part 5, Smash Brothers features a lot of music from that game. And, you know, they also have like that Dragon Quest opener song that everyone knows, even if you don't play Dragon Quest.
Right. Would you like to sing it?
Well, it's not really... It doesn't have lyrics.
I mean the tune.
And so...
that's a no.
And so, like, they sprinkle those, like, tunes throughout, and, I don't know, it feels, like, really awesome. Like, it just... The visuals, like, the presentation is amazing. It definitely feels like a theatrical film, which is kind of a shame. Like, if this was in theaters, I'd probably watch it just out of the fact that it's a full CG video game movie. It's the first...
And as we established, you don't really go to theaters anymore. So that's saying a lot.
Because, like, this one feels like something I can't miss at that scale. But... I mean, the character designs, like, the monsters look great. The slime literally looks... Even though it's just a slime, it looks like, whoa, this is, like, a high-budget slime here.
Literally, it's just a blue circle with a little wisp on top.
Well, sure. You know, like, the clear effects that you... But then, like, spoilers.
All right, hold on. If you're listening and you don't want this movie spoiled, hit that little 30-second plus thing on your podcast app, like, 4 times. 2 minutes should be enough, right?
I guess,
hit it 6 times.
Well, I'm going to end... Well, I guess, like, just to close out, like, if you... enjoy video games in general, I would recommend this movie because this does kind of give you an idea of what it would be like to condense, like I said, 100+ hour game into 1.5 hours.
Sure.
The pacing could have been better, but I think for a first attempt, it was a pretty good job. Or there was a decent attempt, and I feel like it could only improve from here. This definitely feels like something that at first was probably meant to be a series or maybe like a trilogy to give it more breathing room.
Right.
But it feels like something happened and they just squished it onto like a short movie. But
now hammer those 30-second jump buttons, people. Okay, don't want
so spoilers. So
wait. Okay, go.
All right. So I thought this movie was just going to be, you know, it's just the plot of the 5th game, and that was it, like set in the Dragon Quest universe. But lo and behold, this is actually all a VR simulation.
Sorry, what?
So the movie is just some guy that grew up playing Dragon Quest V. And really loved that game. What? And I guess eventually that game was like the best-selling game of all time, that they made like this giant VR simulation thing where you could pretty much... It's like Roy from Rick and Morty. It's literally Roy. Like, you could live out like years, like in decades of your life in like a few hours.
So the Your Story name is referring to this guy at the end.
Yeah, because he's played this
trippy.
game like so many times. Like, oh, this time I'm going to do this time I'm going to do that. And
that's sort of meta.
Yeah, because at the end, like, the message of the movie is basically like, oh, like, video games are not just like this mindless pastime, like, growing up with them, like, these adventures, like, are real to you, you make these big memories to them, this is, like, why they mean so much. And then they're saying, like, oh, like, these adventures you played, they're not fake, they're alternate lifetimes, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, like, a lot of it is, like, damn, like, I mean,
wow,
that does kind of hit home a little, because it does... I mean, it's the nostalgia that you have for them, like all those hours you spent playing, you know, especially those games where you get to name your own character and you know, experience the game through them.
One interesting...
But...
Oh, go ahead, finish it up.
But the part that kind of felt weird and kind of rushed is, like, this slime character that they just introduced in the beginning, first just follow them around, like, this arbitrary, like, alright, he's just, like, the sidekick character. It doesn't talk or anything. And then he's about to, like, kill the final boss, and then the game, I guess, crashes. And that's kind of when he realized that he's in the game, because everything, like, all the textures, like, fall off. And then there's, like, this virus monster that pretty much comes out and says, I was created by some guy that says you guys are losers for playing this game so much. And I'm here to destroy this game because you guys need a life. And...
What?
And then he's about to like...
Father said the same thing to me.
And then he's about to kill like the main character, but then the slime out of nowhere like jumps in and goes like, I'm actually an antivirus put in here to stop this virus, and I just created the antidote.
What?
And then he gives him like the sword.
That's where you lost me. This movie sounded really cool.
Did your dad also say that at one point?
It's like that last part just felt like, whoa, they really needed like an ending or something. Like this is like why it felt like super rushed. Or,
Deus
I don't know.
Machina.
Yeah,
like everything was like built up to that, and then it's just like, oh, it's like, I'm this big villain, I'm a virus. Oh, here's the antidote. Like it just, it felt super rushed, and then it ends, and then he's just starting a new game again. But
two thoughts. One, maybe the Mario movie isn't a Captain Toad origin story. Maybe it's a Dr. Mario movie, because clearly there's precedent.
Because after having seen this movie, it's like, oh man, are they gonna bust like this is just someone playing the game the whole time? Or
what's
something?
crazy is like, were there any hints of it going in? Besides the montage factor?
Not until like the last 30 minutes. Like first it's like, just the I mean, it starts with like the actual NES game.
Yeah.
But you don't really think much about that. There's just like towards the end of the movie, people start saying like, oh, they start saying this time. They start using this time a lot. And they're saying like, oh, you're gonna fight robots, like
Mr. Robot.
Like they're just saying like, oh, this time there's robots. I'm like, hey, what do you mean this time? And then they don't say like anything. They just like keep going like, what do you mean this time? What do you mean this time?
Huh.
Because they erase your memory temporarily while you're playing. So,
sure, that makes sense.
When did this movie come out?
Like a week ago.
Yeah.
Since when has it been produced? Like,
it's from last year.
It's from
last year
in Japan.
Because that is, we're still spoiling, by the way.
Yeah,
so
by the way, keep hitting 30.
Just
keep
keep going.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Jump to the next timestamp.
This sounds like the plot to that Matthew McConaughey movie that came out, I think it was 2 years ago, that I saw with your brother, called Serenity, where Matthew McConaughey is on some island. Spoilers for Serenity. Where Matthew McConaughey is on some island, and his ex-wife, Anne Hathaway, shows up, and she's like, I need you to kill my new husband because he sucks, right? And then Anne Hathaway's like he's also like beating me and beating our son, like Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway's wife.
Yeah.
Maybe about 80% into the movie, Matthew McConaughey finds out that he's in a video game.
What?
He is in a video game that's being developed by his son, because Matthew McConaughey died in Afghanistan a couple years ago. And the end of Serenity, it's literally what would you say, like that move that they do with the Avengers when they first show up in New York, like the
360,
the rotoscope,
yeah, the rotoscope thing is Matthew McConaughey and just a bunch of pixels like shaping around him.
Wow. Well,
I unfortunately saw that movie in theaters.
Oh god.
Well,
I mean,
are we still in spoiler territory? Should I remind people? 30.
So like, I mean, like that plot point like could have been all well and good. Just like it starts to make you like overthink other things about the movie that you thought, because like how I mentioned, like, oh, he was apparently a slave for 10 years.
So was that guy playing the game for 10 years as a slave?
So that means he literally lived like 10 years of just like misery, and like, I mean, that kind of sucks.
Are you saying?
And that he also gets married and has a kid in this game. So that also means.
Are you saying
that's a nicer ending than Serenity? Because at the end of Serenity, the kid kills Anne Hathaway's new husband in real life.
Wow, I want to.
And then he's reunited with Matthew McConaughey on the dock of the island.
I'm going to rewind what we're talking about. So you're saying he was a slave for about maybe 10 years. Are you saying
10 years of in-game
Are you
time?
saying he was almost, like which 10, could be real time? Are you saying he was almost 12 years a slave?
Almost, I guess. Yeah.
Almost. Anyway, that was totally worth backing up for.
And you have any spoilers for that movie?
I've never seen. After 12 years, they were no longer a slave. I'm guessing from the title. But yeah, no, I was going to say though, when you were first telling that plot point, it does kind of fit what we were saying about how movies are getting good about fan service, in the sense of it's not just like a quick cash in or like a simple obvious nod. It's like deeper things for the fan base. Like doing a video game movie and then being like, this is why video games are cool, is actually kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it kind of, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like they're just like, oh, Dragon Quest, let's just throw something together.
And I'll say, if you're like, just don't really have it, if you have some extra time and you just want to watch like just a fun movie or just an experience, I'd still recommend it.
It sounds like an
even
experience,
even with these spoilers, you'll still have that whiplash. You'll still be like, what the heck just happened? Right. But I don't know, it's pretty cool. Especially, I mean, I don't know, maybe just because like I like to use Hero in Smash Brothers, but using like all his attacks and stuff is cool. Like, oh, there's Snooze, there's Thwack, there's Kaswoosh, and blah blah blah.
Right.
You know, it's like reverse nostalgia.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think like
there's the sword that one dude that I don't uses. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
One of the hero alts uses a really cool looking sword, but he looks like a fish man or has like those gills on his ears, so I don't like that.
Wow.
Yeah, you have 4 heroes to pick from in Smash Brothers. One of them has like some weird ear things that
you don't like.
Yeah, that make him seem not cool, even though he's like the one with the orange alternate costume. So I was kind of sad about that. And that's that. Jason can't even now.
Toho Animation, right?
I think so. Yeah,
right. Toho Animation.
Really laughing at that.
They're working on that Lupin the Third movie. That looks awesome.
Oh yeah. The animation quality is pretty much like that. Like,
okay. Wait, was it also the studio that did Mewtwo Strikes Back?
No, Evolution.
That's definitely a different studio because the animation and production quality I feel were way better in this one.
I do think Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back aside,
and if they were, then they definitely didn't try as hard on the Mewtwo one. Not that it was bad, but that movie was so redundant.
It was totally. If you want to hear our impressions of that movie, go back to last July. One of our episodes is all about it because we saw it on a tiny screen at a convention.
Can we do a retrospective on Mewtwo Strikes Back?
What do you want to do?
The sequel to not Strikes Back Evolution.
Mewtwo Returns.
Mewtwo Returns. Yeah,
I've never seen it.
You
never seen it?
Wait, have I seen it?
I don't think you have.
It's not that great.
I've seen it. Well, that was a good conversation.
But I think that was the first.
He returns.
That was the first. No, I guess I owned Pokemon 2000 and Pokemon
Wait, when
3.
did Mewtwo Returns come out?
I think it was a DirecTV movie.
It's like an OVA for the.
Gotcha. Because I've seen and owned Pokemon the movie, the first movie, right. Pokemon 2000, and Pokemon 3 the movie.
Enter.
Yeah.
No.
And
enter the unknown. Enter the unknown. Enter the unknown.
But anyway, what I was starting to say is I do think that between what you're saying about Dragon Quest and what we were talking about with Sonic and Detective Pikachu, like I think, and we were kind of drawing this parallel before you got here, Kevin, but it really does feel like we're turning the corner here with video game movies in the same way that like superhero movies kind of were, where there was like a period, like maybe around Dark Knight or Iron Man and the MCU's coming up, where it went from being like, they're not so much comic book movies as much as they're just movies based on comic books. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a genre of like comic book movie. It's just these movies' source material were comic books in the same way that like books can be source material or whatever. It feels like kind of with video games we're like actually now at that point.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, and I think, or what are you gonna say?
No, especially because some of these are just, they're not one for one trying to be adaptations of these games. Like I saw Prince of Persia, unfortunately, a couple years ago.
How many bad movies can you name in one episode?
God, I saw Pixels too.
We saw Pixels. We covered it on the show. We saw it for the show.
We saw it in theaters.
We saw it in theaters, so we could cover it on the podcast when it was relevant to the one person who cared. Yes, it did.
Were you guys the only one in the theater?
Toho's making a Shin-Chan movie? What?
Well,
Can they make a Shin-Chan movie?
They apparently are. It's coming out
Didn't the guy die?
They can license it from the estate.
They also have an Evangelion movie, and they're the ones making Monster Hunter?
No, that's not right.
No, they're probably...
they're doing their own.
They're doing their own Monster Hunter movie?
Like probably an anime Monster Hunter movie.
Oh, well.
That is the next litmus test, by the way.
Wait, it's Sony Pictures.
Monster Hunter?
I know. That's good. You know what that's gonna be? That's gonna be like how Venom exists after superhero movies got good. That's gonna be the Venom.
Well, yeah, because that's the director.
They also did
I know. All the Resident Evils.
And Mila Jovovich's husband.
Yeah. Paul
W.S.S. Anderson? Yeah,
not to be confused with
P.T. Anderson.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson.
Or Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah, PTA.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, the reason I was saying that I feel like video games can record, besides what we just talked about with all these video game movies, I should say, is it's not just like we're getting good ones. I'm saying in part because it seems like studios are actually being selective in what they pursue and making, like, they're not just taking AIP and be like, yeah, let's run with it. Because, like, there's this story that came out. So Rob from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Rob
McElhenney.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say say it.
I don't know. It's like there's too many. There's like a C and an E and an L and an H all crammed together. I don't know. But he is doing press for his new Apple.
Watch his show.
Yeah, he's doing press for that new Apple TV show, Mystic Quest.
I have Apple TV free for a year.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's apparently quite good. Like the trailer.
I love Always Sunny, so I have no reason. I mean, he produced and directs that show. So.
And the trailer made it look kind of meh, but it's getting pretty good reviews, so it might actually be pretty good, or at least better than the trailer makes it seem. But anyway, he's doing this press tour for the show, and the fact that he was once supposed to direct a Minecraft movie came up. And he explained how his vision for a movie was that, like, the core of Minecraft in his mind centers around the lack of a fixed narrative. It's open world, and you're given, as he put it, the building blocks to do whatever you want. And he went on to say that it's like this amazing, I'm just going to paraphrase him, but it's like an amazing tool like Legos. It gives kids, not just kids, but a person who feels powerless power. Like, kids mostly feel powerless. All day they do homework, they're told to go to bed, how to dress.
It's going to be another year story.
I feel like you could extend to your, that to other people. I think everybody feels marginalized to some extent. Your boss is telling you what to do all day. So your spouses, you just feel like you have a sense of agency. The game gave you agency over your life. I thought that's a really profound experience. That's very, for him, that's a lot of deep thought compared to his character on the show, which is kind of funny. But anyway, point is, so Warner Brothers and him were working on this for 2.5 years. They had Steve Carell attached to star. And then Warner Brothers switched executives, and the executive went, nah, we're not going to do that, and canceled the whole project. And what's interesting to me about that is Minecraft is one of the best-selling games of all time. They could turn it into whatever movie they want, good or bad.
Game on the Switch.
It's still probably one of the top-selling games on the Switch. It is the Wii U's top-selling game in Japan, which is strange. Better than Nintendo's first-party ones. But, like, it's a huge phenomenon, and they could generate so much money, even with that idea that they thought was meh, even though, I don't know, it could have been interesting, I think. Like, that's kind of an interesting concept. And on some level, that, to me, is the real sign that video games have kind of video game movies have, like, matured and turned the corner, because, like, they're not just doing the cash grabs. They're actually like, no, that doesn't feel right, and not doing it.
But hold on.
Did they cancel it because they felt it?
Yeah,
right,
they think that
they canceled it because they felt it wasn't worth pursuing. But back in the day, if you had the IP to a video game, you would do it regardless of how good or bad.
I don't think that Rob McElhenney would have just made a cash grab. That dude's super passionate.
No. That's my point. That's exactly my point. Is
because from what you said, I got the impression that
I got
the impression that an executive just came in and they're like, I don't get it. Let's just not do it.
Yeah.
No, but my point
is, as opposed to him actually, they're like, no, it's not.
But Hollywood.
Let's wait. It's not Minecraft's time right now.
But Hollywood used to be. Look at the Mario movie from '93. Look at all the '90s.
Let's not.
No, but my point is, they used to be like, "Oh, we own that IP. Do whatever." But the fact that whether or not his idea was a good one, I think it could have been interesting. The fact that someone at Warner Brothers was like, "No, we don't want the free money. We think it might not work right for the property." That's what it boils down to. They didn't think it would made sense for the property. They didn't think it was worth pursuing. They didn't think the property was going to give them a return, even though it's the biggest game in the world. And
well, then that could also be very short-sighted of them. I don't know.
I agree, but my point is they're actually thinking about that.
For all we know,
now.
we might be getting a worse movie, though.
Yeah, but my point is, like, they're actually thinking about that with video game movies now, while before it's just whatever they could get a license to, they'd release.
I mean, sometimes they think, and then sometimes they release that abomination of a trailer for Sonic.
Yeah, but then the movie turned out not horrible.
I mean, what about all the times they tried getting a Metroid movie off the ground?
We can't even get Metro games off the ground. Do I get a movie?
John Woo was supposed to direct.
John Woo was, yeah. But, like, remember all the, like, U-Bowl era of video game movies? Or is any license that studio could get, they just run with? Like, the fact that Warner Brothers is not taking $1 billion franchise.
Because they lost so much money with those.
But that wasn't Warner Brothers. But the point is, the fact that there's someone in Hollywood with self-control about video game movies blows my mind, because that did not used to be the case. That's all I was saying. And that's, I think, a positive.
I'm not giving them that benefit of the doubt.
All right, that's fair.
I'm assuming it's going to be for some other reason.
Yeah, they still made that horrible Doom movie that came out last year.
Doom Annihilation?
Yeah. That's the one.
Netflix. But, yeah, so we're not quite around the corner yet, but we're getting there. It's turning. And I think like, if you begin to respect source material the way Sonic did and Detective Pikachu did, and it sounds like Dragon Quest did until the end, and even in a way it still did, it does benefit them. Like, case in point, The Witcher. Now, granted, this is based on a book, but a lot of people are also familiar with it as a video game, and it's gone on to be such a huge, just as a TV show, obviously, but a huge hit for Netflix. Back in January, they said that over 76 million people watched at least 2 minutes of the show, which I know that's a weird metric, 2 minutes, but that means 76 million people were like, oh, this Witcher thing, I want to check this out, which in of itself, just the brand exposure, that's big. And I don't know why they only count 2 minutes. They don't give any concrete number for how many people finished it. Just that's the most watched series ever on Netflix.
Really?
Yep.
Most watched ever?
On Netflix.
Series.
On Netflix.
Like,
I need to put that qualifier every time. On Netflix. On Netflix. On Netflix.
That's the Netflix.
Has made. It's their most watched series ever.
Most watched Netflix made show.
Ever.
Okay.
Yes. We good?
I think so. Because I'm like, damn.
Well, they have a lot of their own crap nowadays
They
on
do.
there.
They have a ton.
Because I'm like, I feel like a lot of people watch The Office, but I guess that doesn't count then.
Well, they're saying the most. Not saying Netflix produced, but on the Netflix platform, it is the best.
Really?
Most
Over
watched.
The Office?
It is the most watched series on Netflix.
See, that's
I think. Or
that's what I'm trying to make sure.
Maybe it's their most watched. Well, I'll put it this way.
Because that I could believe that.
Okay, I retract that because I'm not sure
there's
it's
been years
theirs.
of Netflix existing and people watching The Office or Friends.
Yeah, but fine. Here's a real concrete one. In the month since they put out that claim, so that was in January.
I mean,
it
that's
says
still
96 million.
impressive. I'm trying to remember what other Netflix produced shows.
House of Cards, Altered Carbon.
House of Cards was an always Netflix made show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was their
Really?
first. It was their very first original.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was BoJack.
No, BoJack's another one though. Big
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, of course. That's their big.
Yeah.
So this
I
is.
thought it would've gone to
This is apparently being watched more
Yeah.
than Stranger Things.
Because Witcher feels like not a show for everybody.
But it's
But what
filling
do I-
that
but then
hole.
again-
It's filling the Game of Thrones hole.
Is it?
A
People
little.
say it's not really like Game of Thrones.
No, but it's filling the like fantasy realm thing. It's the Lord of the Rings, the Game of Thrones, like that crowd, which is
That's
big.
gonna say something else.
Oh no, that crowd. I like Game of Thrones. But anyway, in the month since that data came out, another analytics firm called Parrot Analytics that tracks this stuff independently.
You're one of those
They're
season
saying
5
it's the
defenders,
most
huh?
watched show in the world right now. Period.
Really?
The most streamed of any show online. More than The Mandalorian. More than anything from January through about last
The
week.
Witcher?
The Witcher. It's huge in Europe.
But yeah,
But it's a big property, but
yeah.
and like that in and of itself is crazy that it's doing that well. Like you are literally dumbfounded by it. I was too when I saw the number. But the effect it's had on the game sales is also worth knowing because it's going to open up the floodgate for all these other game publishers that want to turn their games into new formats.
Have you watched it?
I have not.
Have you watched it?
No, but strangely enough, I restarted playing Witcher 3.
I also have not watched it.
So have a lot of people because here's a fun stat. In December, the month that the Witcher TV show debuted, The Witcher 3, which is what, now a 6-year-old game,
Sure.
saw a 554% bump in physical copies sold. Just physical copies. That means not the Steam copies that were $5. People actually went to the store and like bought it. And apparently a lot of those were the Switch edition, because if you exclude the Switch from the data, the bump would have been 63% instead of
Jesus.
554%. Yeah,
Wow.
so those who bought the Switch version, like they kind of lucked out because I don't know if you guys heard about this patch from the other week.
patch.
It's actually really cool.
Digital Foundry did a great breakdown on it.
What?
Yeah,
patch.
so basically, they're allowing cross-save progress between the Switch version of Witcher 3 and any PC version, be it on Steam or GOG or whatever.
Well, I missed out.
Which, in and of itself, that's... Oh, yeah, because you got on a different system. But what I was going to say, in and of itself, like, that's pretty cool, and it's not even the first Switch game to do it. But what I find even crazier about this whole thing is the feature is Switch exclusive. They have zero plans to bring it to PlayStation and Xbox. Because there's really no reason. If you're playing at home, you can play it on your PC. You don't need, like, Switch TVs. But the idea is you play it on your PC, then you leave, you buy a copy for $60, and you take it on the go.
Didn't the Vita do something like that? You could play like PS4 games.
Only like on a handful of games.
Yeah. But this is crazy because like the Steam audience is huge, for example, and now they are basically telling all of them, hey, do you want to play it when you're not at home? This game that's based on the most popular TV series in the world right now, indirectly. Well, guess what? You can. Like, that's a huge marketing opportunity. And
the shame you haven't watched it, because I was gonna ask, like, do you think the show like deserved that amount of?
I've heard it's pretty good, but kind of falls into a Monster of the Week format. And I've heard it has a very catchy song called
Bless you.
like,
Toss a
Gesundheit,
coin to your Witcher. Yeah.
I guess all that stuff could be good or bad depending on who you ask. Because some people, I guess, would love the Monster of the Week format. The
Yeah,
fact you
I
don't
mean,
have to pay that
it's
much
like
attention.
it has an overarching, but it doesn't. From what I gather, like the first year overarching that goes into Monster Week, then it kind of comes back to the overarch at the end or something like that. But they're apparently fixing some of the so-called flaws of it with season 2, which is already in development.
I've heard of
and
people
filming.
complaining about the fact that they sometimes can't tell whether it's taking place right now in the past, present, or future, because they're not always really clear
Right,
when they're time jumping
right.
until later on, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, and the I guess the broader point here, besides Witcher itself, is like with something like The Witcher, or let's say the Castlevania animated series that was on Netflix that did well, or Sonic.
Oh yeah, the Castlevania.
We're going to start seeing a lot more game properties appearing in other formats, I think. Like, we already know Ubisoft has a Rabbids movie coming. There's the Monster Hunter movies, plural, we were just talking about. That, still, I think Monster Hunter, for better or worse, is the kind of the next
It's only a matter of time
to
before Resident
hit.
Evil is going to get another movie.
Resident Evil's going to get another one. They're rebooting that.
Oh, that's right. That was getting...
Netflix,
Well,
it's
Yeah, it's going to be a TV show on Netflix. It's going to be about how
Do we know
Umbrella
if-
Corp developed
Do we
the
know if
virus.
it's live action or not?
I think they said it was live action.
Yeah, but here's one that just came out. According to a Activision Blizzard employee's LinkedIn profile, Diablo and Overwatch are getting TV series on, I believe, Netflix.
Hopefully animated.
So here's the interesting thing. First of all,
I mean,
the
Overwatch
person's-
already kind of lends
Yeah.
up to that with their shorts, but I don't
So
know.
the first weird thing is this person's profile. It said they were the executive producer of both, which seems like a bit of a weird thing to put on your profile without it publicly being announced. And then it turns out the guy whose profile it was is the president of Activision Blizzard. He announced a project for his company by updating his LinkedIn bio. Like, what? But anyway, yes, they're both animated.
Power move.
They're definitely a power move. They are both animated. Apparently, Diablo will be anime style, and Overwatch will be more traditional animation. I don't really like.
Traditional. Whoa, that sounds expensive.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily three. I meant like American. I should have said not
American?
traditional. I'm trying to say it's not anime. It's just animated in some capacity.
Well, traditional.
I know it means 2D. I take that back.
Yeah.
I misspoke. It's just not anime.
Yeah, traditional means like, old school Disney stuff.
Yes, it's not anime. Is all I'm trying to say.
Oh, you could just say CG.
I don't know if it's CG. They haven't said. They just said animated.
Oh.
I assume it would be. So I guess I have two questions. One, does Diablo make sense as an anime? I never played.
I couldn't tell you.
I personally, I think it worked more as an anime than a CG style series.
What makes you say that? Like, what is it about the game?
Doesn't it have like hours and hours of CG cutscenes to prove itself that maybe it could have worked, or you think it still would have worked better as? Because like
I see it the way like in the same way as like Castlevania works better as an anime than it would a CG style,
And
especially that I feel like Diablo was probably the more expensive to make CG shorts or cutscenes for, just because those are very detailed, while Overwatch does have that cartoony look.
Overwatch felt long overdue for this. They've already been doing it. They had the character videos. So I imagine, as our resident Overwatch guy, you're into this idea of them doing a show?
Or you're kind of over it already?
Yeah.
I haven't touched Overwatch in forever.
So are they striking after the iron's cooled? In other
Would you
words?
check it out just to get the lore? And not
I wouldn't be surprised if this launches alongside Overwatch 2.
Oh, that would make sense. That would make absolute sense.
I wouldn't be surprised if they, because Overwatch has a ton of lore that hasn't been explored in videos or comics.
Right.
Especially not the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
definitely not the game.
I wouldn't be surprised if they adapt some of that lore that they have.
Yeah, and
Right.
outside of
The
the
Omnic
shorts,
Revolution, stuff like
I
that.
feel like the majority of people don't really bother reading the comics and stuff. But I mean,
That's
I could be
true.
wrong.
You know what comic's still coming out, apparently?
Which
the
one?
ARMS graphic novel from Dark Horse. The ARMS graphic novel from Dark Horse. Remember that was a thing when ARMS came out? They're going to do a whole graphic novel about ARMS, and then it just
No.
disappeared. Oh yeah, it's a thing, and it's coming out in
I
2020.
remember there was going to be a Splatoon one.
It's coming out in 2020 when ARMS is as relevant as ever. It's a little late to the party, but yeah, I think there is a Splatoon one still in the works as well. But yeah, so like I think gaming, it's an
They
interesting
should
point.
come out with that comic first, if anything, before
ARMS?
ARMS. Yeah,
Yeah,
ARMS needed all the help it can get.
you're saying it didn't have enough legs?
We've made that joke already.
Not in that way.
I don't know why it came.
I don't know either. I'm so sorry. But anyway, I guess that's the point I'm making is just like, yeah, I think video games are going to go more and more into multiple mediums or media, and we're at the point where there's hope that they're actually going to be good. So that's a plus. But that's enough about games becoming non-playable forms of entertainment. There's also part 2 of our episode, which is games that are coming up that obviously we will play because or could be playable because they're games, not movies, not TV. And the most immediate one, 3 weeks to go, is of course Animal Crossing: New Horizons. It's a little over a week ago now that Nintendo did their special direct dedicated to the game, where they, for 25 minutes, talked very slowly.
I watched that movie at times 1.75 speed, just to make it tolerable.
And it was still too slow for you?
No, to make it tolerable.
It was tolerable. All right, so okay, that's the first question. What did you guys think of did you watch it?
I watched a little bit of it.
What did you guys think of the presentation?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sound cruel or like anti-hype, but I didn't really feel like I learned anything from the video. Even the new stuff, I felt like this could have been new. This could have been old. I don't know. I mean, honestly, like I think because, I mean, Animal Crossing, I mean, I love the franchise. I'm going to get this game, but I don't know. There's nothing they could have said to either hype me up more or hype me up less about it. So watching it just kind of felt like a summary of stuff I already knew and stuff that's like, I guess that's cool.
Yeah, and like the slow speed, to be fair, Nintendo, it exists because they're doing it like a fake like timeshare style video.
I'm definitely not the demographic for the movie, especially since, they already have my money.
You mean the direct. I mean, I know it had some crazy production value, but it wasn't a movie. But I think it's
the direct
weird.
It's to sell copies, right? To convince people to sell it.
Yeah, I think it's weird what they focused on. And even now what they're focusing on Twitter. Like, there's so many obvious things being re-explained, and then there's like some actual cool new features that were never addressed. Like, so it's playable at PAX East this weekend, right? And someone discovered if you press the right stick, you can actually switch between the Wild World, like, spinning world view and the old GameCube view, the top-down view. That feels like something in a direct bag. By the way, do you like the old Animal Crossing? Guess what? But instead they're like, and on Twitter, when you first start the game, we'll ask you your name. And it's like, yeah, okay. Like, they're going into so much detail. It just feels like they're focusing on the wrong stuff. But
I did notice during the presentation that sometimes they did have the Wild World looking thing in the flat one. And I was wondering, like, wait, when did that
And they
switch?
never addressed it. Yeah, when did it switch? I see what you did there. But I think there's a couple... He just gave me such a death stare. There's a couple takeaways from it that I don't think we need to get into all 25 minutes of the nitty-gritty of it. But I did think that it was interesting how much inspiration from Pocket Camp they're taking with New Horizons. Like, there's the crafting from Pocket Camp, and there's the whole mission-based structure of Nook points in this one.
That wasn't from... Well, I mean, not the Nook points, but wasn't the crafting more from Happy Home Designer?
It was... Oh, you're right. And then Pocket Camp took that.
Because Happy Home Designer was literally... Let's get super crazy about customizing without really worrying about building the village. Now they just combined everything into one.
You're right. So crafting, you're right.
It's like they took Happy Home Designer, the camping from... Pocket Camp.
And the Nook Point mission structure. They didn't call it Nook Points in Pocket Camp. And, like, actually when Pocket
Camp... And they demoted Isabel and, Pam.
Yeah. And now Tom Nook is apparently the it guy. But, yeah, initially, like, I remember when Pocket Camp came out, I wasn't really into the idea that, it's all, like, structured now. But I'm kind of come around to it, seeing it in a game that, like, has more to it than just Pocket Camp's cheap monetization tricks. Like, I feel like having some sort of indicators of progress beyond just your house got bigger and you caught some bugs is actually kind of nice. Not so much for like us because we played Animal Crossing, but if you're trying to onboard like new players into the game, it's like a subtle way that sort of eases you in. It's not super subtle, but it's a way that eases you in that the game maybe didn't have before. Like, not like it was too open-ended, but I do appreciate that if you want a little structure, a little like training wheels or guardrails or whatever, you have it now. And it also like it lets you feel like you're getting rewarded for more stuff.
I think my biggest takeaway from the direct was, oh man, the museum and aquarium looks nice.
It looks so nice. And that's actually something else I like is with the mission structure, you don't just get the museum, you don't just get you don't just go in and Blather's just like, you want to help? And you're like, yeah, and then you just go find stuff. You have to like unlock it, which is a little more video gamey. But it's actually like I kind of like it. It gives you more like upfront that you need to kind of earn. And then once you do that, then the world kind of opens up. Like it feels more like a traditional Nintendo progression route that they do in their normal games. Which, on one hand, Animal Crossing is about not having that, but it's kind of nice that they're switching up the format a bit. And someone found out that in the PAX East demo, apparently it's not even that hard to get. 15 fossils, you have the museum open, and they could do whatever you want with it. So, I think that's cool. And actually, speaking of PAX East, have you guys seen Nintendo's booth at PAX East? They built...
That's a big no.
They built Animal Crossing.
That's what they were going to take to GDC.
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare crush my dreams like that.
No, I'm serious. Like, if you read their press release for what they're going to do for GDC, they're like, we were going to create, like, a recreation of...
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, they were actually going to take
that. Oh, my God, that sucks. It's such a cool booth. We'll talk about GDC being canceled in a bit, but it's such a cool booth. Like, they built... Like, they literally made Animal Crossing, and they have flowing water through it, but it's not actually water. It's digital projections on the ground.
I have to look.
And they have a coastline, and they have, like, costume characters of KK Slider and Isabel and Tom Nook. And it's really cool, and I'm really bummed that we could have seen it if GDC wasn't canceled. It's like their E3 style booth, where it's like feels like Disneyland kind of,
yeah.
But Animal Crossing. And the water looks ridiculously real. It's on their YouTube, but we'll link to it in the blog post as well.
I'm watching it right now.
But yeah, it's super cool. But anyway, that's kind of tangent. I was gonna say the real big takeaway to your point, Angel, about like how they took a lot of the customization and crammed it in. I feel like the takeaway from the direct for me was that the series is moving more and more towards customization, and in some cool ways. Like the biggest one's terraforming, or as they're calling it, land development. And you can literally just become a god and change the overall shape of the land. You can make waterfalls. You can knock out things.
Looks neat.
What?
Boost looks
neat. Yeah, the boost is cool, right? But on top of just terraforming, people at PAX are discovering that like you can do things like use face paint to make your character totally unique. There's stuff we know, like the crafting system, but now we know that you can actually take your old patterns from past games, scan a QR code, and import them, and turn any object into any pattern however you want through crafting. You can put obviously furniture outside, which is something from Pocket Camp. Like there's a lot more like make the island your own.
Right.
But the thing here's my thing.
The kicker?
I don't know how you guys feel. I don't really care about customization all that much. Like I feel like I like playing it for the like social quote unquote aspects, for lack of like a better term. Yeah, with the animals in the game.
Oh.
Not with
I thought you were talking about, yeah.
No, are you crazy?
I'm like, wait, what?
And here's the problem.
I mean, I actually
using the Wii speaker to
yeah, like I actually liked Animal Crossing for the extroverted social meaning.
Oh, I'm an only child.
Like,
I'm gonna make friends with computer characters.
Well, I mean, I have a brother, so like that really helped
yeah.
with it. Like especially like like working together on the town, and not to mention we also had a friend that really loved Animal Crossing, and since he didn't live near us, it was a really awesome event whenever he would get to visit our town or we get to visit his, and play some games in Tortimer or Tortimer, whichever.
Who may be dead. There's a grave in the direct, and no one knows whose it is. But anyway.
Yeah, whichever camp you're on in that pronunciation, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think like I get that, but I think so you're set because the customization actually lets you do more of that. But the thing that's kind of like to me, I'm like, is outside of knowing there's some new villagers, Nintendo didn't really talk about anything that's changing with how you interact with the townsfolk. Like, can we expect a change? Are villagers going to be more dynamic? Are there going to be more personality types? I assume there's going to be at least one or two, but like, is it going to be the same thing where, after a while, it gets a little stale because, the more you're in that world, the more you realize there's just 7 personalities. And one thing they did say in the direct that gave me some hope is the game's going to include free updates, mainly to introduce characters and holidays. And on some level, it feels like they're splatooning it. Like, is the game not actually done? Holidays used to be baked in. Now they're adding them as DLC. That's a little odd.
I mean, as long as they do it before the said holiday.
Right, but what happens if you want to play offline in the future and you don't have the DLC? Your Animal Crossing's now missing things that were baked into every other Animal Crossing
they're telling
forever.
you ahead of time so you can plan accordingly.
But what about when the server goes off and you're showing your kid your favorite Animal Crossing game 30 years from now and then there's no holidays?
Well, I mean, hopefully you download it beforehand.
I don't know. I'm just saying it's weird. It used to be also like how they write the guides for this game. They always have those companion books, and you can't do that.
That's
if
just how
holidays.
life is now. You either adapt or
I know,
but no, dinosaur.
But what I'm hoping is that like if they can introduce new characters and holidays and stuff, can they introduce personality types over time or like new villager interactions and the like?
That'd be cool.
Because like it does look like they're doing a lot of cool stuff with like new character animations. Like there's one that's been making the rounds of one of the characters eating like a popsicle, which is so totally pointless and like, oh, that's not that exciting, but like they're paying attention to little things like that. So like, will there be like candied apples in the future? Like little things like that.
Little patches.
I'm hoping they do that because that like if they want Animal Crossing to be like this living, breathing world, you got to keep updating it with those sorts of things too. And Nintendo's being really quiet about anything involving like the in-game socializing. So I don't know. But it does on some level. Actually, Angel, you already touched on this. It does make sense that they're moving towards customization being the feature because, like, as online becomes a bigger component, they got to accommodate for that. If everyone's village looked the same and all the villagers share the same 7 personalities, that's pretty boring and it makes the online experience kind of pointless. Yet if they lean all the way in on customization, it's a lot more interesting because no one's town's the same. Someone terraformed theirs and it looks crazy. Someone's in one hemisphere and not the other, which is why I think hemispheres won't just affect seasons, but actually the layouts of the islands, because they're trying to shake things up. It's the same sort of variety that like in game they replaced the one-off island that you can go to with island hopping, where you get basically I think they're basically randomized islands.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's the exact same idea where Nintendo's like, oh, we realize it's getting really boring if you see the same thing, so why don't we rotate it? So that's that kind of makes sense. And there still are like social features even with online. It's just not like tied to the social features within the game. Like there's things like Nook Link, which is in the Switch Online app, and you can actually like properly chat with people using your touchscreen keyboard. on your phone, or your voice chat through your phone, which, it seems the closest we're going to get to what Switch Online should offer. It actually has messaging. It's shoved into the app, but at least it has messaging. Like, at least there is a way. That's progress. But on the flip side, they also have that weird save situation. So I don't know, like, what they're... Like, one step forward, one step back.
Well, weird save. So, the fact that you could only...
You can't... It will not support cloud backup whatsoever if you're a Switch Online subscriber. If you are a Switch Online subscriber, they will let you...
subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online.
Well, if you're a Switch Online subscriber and you do care... You get one move, and Nintendo, you have to reach out to them, and they'll do one. You have to sweet talk them. No, but you get one move, and you have to
make it count.
Make it count, exactly. And that's weird.
You actually have to speak to somebody.
Yeah, they haven't said how it's going to work, but yeah. The crazy thing to me, we're planning to offer a service for recovering backup data to save time from the server in certain circumstances, such as console damage or loss. So that's not something you just go and press a button. You have to tell them. And what's crazy about that is Nintendo is simultaneously saying we want the Switch to be for per person in a household, and we want multiple Switches per household. So little Timmy gets one of the new coral pink Switch lights, but he already started his island on his old Switch, and they're going to give the old Switch to his brother.
Little Timmy's SOL, buddy.
Yeah, and that's insane because he's paying for cloud saves, and they're saying it's doable, but only if they want to make it doable. So that's a little weird.
Why didn't Dad pay for them?
What?
You said little Timmy's paying for the cloud saves.
Hey, man, little Timmy's going to earn his keep.
Exactly. Little Timmy has an allowance, and they want to give him a sense of what it's like in the real world.
It's not that expensive.
It's $20 a year.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
But stuff, minus the online weird cloud save thing, stuff like having Nook Link actually is a social feature, just not in the way I'm talking about. Or the Nook phone in the game, you have a camera, you have filters, you can take screenshots, you can post them on social media, you can even bring your amiibo in, set up a room, and do photo shoots with your amiibo characters, and they come to life in the game. Quite literally a social feature, just not the social feature that Animal Crossing is known for. So it's kind of what? They danced around everything except... They talked about everything except the villagers. So, I don't know. I'm still excited. I'm very excited. It's, it's...
You literally just can't hide it.
I think I like it. But, it's just, I don't know what's going on with the social stuff. It's weird that they're not talking about it. But it's still going to be a really fun game. The handheld ones are the best, but as the fidelity and then some of the console ones, there's tons of newness. That even if I don't customize, I can go your town and see the
if
stuff.
I ever invite you...
Yeah, I know, you never will.
Yeah.
But, so there's a lot to do and see. I'm just saying, Nintendo, you spent 25 minutes telling us how, Tom Nook is, owns a shop or whatever, but you couldn't tell us anything about the villagers. I'm just saying. But I don't know how you guys feel, but that's my 2 cents.
I already knew I was going to get it, so...
I'm getting it regardless. This is all pointless complaining. I'm not
losing. Yeah, they could have done whatever.
Yeah, there's been some... And there has been some interesting game news outside of just Animal Crossing. Platinum Games. They announced the first original self-published game that they have ever made. It's coming to Switch. Or no, it's actually not coming to Switch. That's not confirmed. We don't know where it's going. But it's by Hideki
Kamiya.
Thank you. Of Beautiful Joe fame and Wonderful 101 fame. It's supposedly the third in his now trilogy, I guess, of superhero games. They called it the conclusion to his trilogy. I didn't know it was a trilogy.
There's a Beautiful Joe 2. What?
Yeah, don't ask. I don't know. There's also Beautiful Joe DS. So
there was also Beautiful... I think they got up to 3.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Beautiful Joes.
There were a lot of
and there
was one on the PSP. It was a brawler.
Yeah. Don't ask how this is a trilogy, but it's his third superhero game, they claim. If you want to play the second one, by the way, the Switch version of Wonderful 101 comes out May 19th for non-Kickstarter supporters. But yeah, it's interesting because it's we have a friend on Twitter named Earl who put it this way. Kamiya made Kamen Rider with Beautiful Joe. Then he made Power Rangers with Marvel 101. Only fitting that the trilogy ends with Megazords, which is basically what this is. It's monsters versus mechs. We don't really know much about it outside of a quick teaser, but it looks to focus on these huge battles. And they're claiming it's going to be different for them. It's not going to be like any other game Platinum's made before. Which can go a couple ways, I think. Way number one is it could mean the action will be different. Because if you're giant monsters and mechs, and they're known for super fast and fluid action games, I wonder if they're going to pull like a Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee and do like a different type of combat that's slower but still fun, but slower. Like, because, I mean, Destroy All Monsters, like, found a good balance of, like, having that weight but still being fun.
I mean, it was slow, but it definitely didn't really feel sluggish.
Right.
I mean, I love that game.
So, like, my feeling
maybe
is,
they're going to go Neon Genesis and have very fast-moving mechs.
Maybe, but that monster... I mean, in the trailer... You watched the trailer.
The trailer, makes it look like, well...
You don't really see much of anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, it implies, like, I mean, you're this person that pretty much gets a Megazord.
Yeah.
You're like a Power Ranger or something.
Yeah.
And, I don't know.
Maybe you're Beautiful Joe. The trailer says a go-go.
I mean,
Maybe
it could go either way. It could be
Megazord.
like, oh, he's actually gonna... You're pretty much just like a giant version of yourself. You're not really in this big mech. I mean, we don't really know what it is.
Yeah,
so...
but it definitely feels like if they're saying, like, the gameplay might be different. That's option one. Which I mean, you're... A1 have any objections to that? I'm okay with Platinum doing a different style of action for once.
Platinum doing... I mean, it could go either way, and I'm sure Platinum will find a way to make it fun and unique.
Right.
I mean, if it's a fast-moving mech game, I mean, that could be interesting, but I feel like it does.
And
have
they've
to
made
be
a fast-moving mech game before already.
Yeah.
The Transformers Devastation. That was Platinum, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was good Platinum.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're not like building-sized. But that was really fast, though. I mean, I love that game.
So
that game was also cool. I was disappointed in the Ninja Turtle one.
They made a Ninja Turtle one?
Like they didn't care. Manhattan Mutants in Manhattan.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Muppet movie. Isn't there Muppets in Manhattan?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. But anyways, that's option one of how it can go. What's also possible, though, is they may actually be changing the structure of the game. So here's the other piece of the puzzle here.
Oh?
The game's under development at their new Tokyo studio, which they announced in tandem with the game, which makes sense. It's a studio that Platinum then went on to specify is focusing on making games as service products, specifically on consoles.
I like those words.
Yeah, while there's been no platform mentioned for GG yet, it is confirmed as coming from the studio that focuses on games as services for consoles. GG. Right now it's only a 15-person team, but they're going to ramp it up to 100 people, which means it's a lot of people to develop and maintain any game they make. I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea, but I do find it interesting that as Platinum goes on their own for the first time. Like, literally, Tencent offered to publish this. Their new investor, Tencent, who owns 40% of them now or something, offered to publish it, and they said, no, we're going to do this ourselves. And now it seems like they're doing the live service route. I think it's interesting because it kind of signifies there's definitely a shift going on in the industry right now, because we've seen a lot of games obviously move in the direction of services or ongoing, but to see a developer who never published their own game go, okay, it's time, but we need to do it like this, seems like kind of a big tell. Like, they don't, like, I'm not saying it's a negative thing. Like, there was actually an interview with it was a bit of a tangent, but I think it was Phil Spencer from Xbox. He was talking to Game Daily or one of those sites, and he was talking about this idea that there could be all sorts of different games that can exist side by side in parallel. Like, it's not like games and services have to take over. It's not like subscription services have to take over. If people don't spend money one way on a game, you bring the game to them in the way that they'll understand it and play it. And he was using this interesting example from Africa, where apparently people were earning tokens for internet access doing something. And what's interesting about that is everywhere else, internet's provided as a subscription service. But there, the providers had to switch this other method to get people to use it in a way that made sense for them. So his whole point was, well, if games are sold at $60 a pop for us over here, there's still however many billion people in the world that don't necessarily play games. Maybe we bring them to them in a way they understand, like a free-to-play game or a live service or something like that. So I think what's interesting, to tie it back to Platinum, and I've said interesting 5 times in the last minute, but I think what's fascinating about tying it back to Platinum is I think it could be a similar situation. Like, maybe a small dev like Platinum, their first self-published game, they don't think they could get away with charging $60 for it. But if they kind of Splatoon it or ARMS it and put out a thing for $20 or $30 and then iterate it on it for a couple years and add some paid content, they can probably get $80 or $90 out of that person by the end of it. So it might actually, for them, make more sense, and for us as fans of their games, have a lower barrier of entry than if they continue to just work with Nintendo or with whoever does Ubisoft, I guess, does the Ninja Turtle stuff, or whoever it may be. So it's kind of interesting. Like, it didn't used to be that you had all these different avenues you could go down just to make a game. You just made a game and it came out and you paid MSRP, but or maybe a cheaper MSRP and it was a smaller game. But now, like, there's so many different ways games can be, and it's the fact that they're sort of hyping this up. GG is like this whole new approach for them, whether it's gameplay or this.
It sounds like they're confident in it, which
and that's a plus.
They have a great track record, so
and like. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a cool game. Like, I'm not worried about that, but just it's idea. Stop saying interesting. This pivot going on.
So is Kami not working on Bayonetta 3?
I guess not.
Did he work on Bayonetta 2?
I don't know, actually.
He worked on
Bayonetta.
Yeah, he worked on the first one for sure.
So he might. No, he is directing this. Never mind. Because I say maybe he's producing this and working on Bayonetta, but no, he's directing this. I know
he
that.
produced Astral Chain, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He has his fingers in a lot of pies or whatever the phrase is. but yeah, yep, that is a phrase. But yeah, it's But the thing that Platinum's doing is actually a strategy that another developer who made news this week, Harmonix, is very familiar with. Rock Band, Guitar Hero before it. They were kind of the prototype of the game as a service because you had your core game and then you stack more music on top of it. And you
they
could buy
also
whatever
tried making
kits.
a comeback and failed.
And now they're trying again. This week. This is my transition into it. This week they announced a new project. It's confirmed for Switch this time, unlike GG. It's called Fuser. And do you guys remember this thing called Drop Mix?
Yes.
From a couple years ago.
Is that the card game?
Yeah, so we tried it at Comic-Con.
I have one right here somewhere.
Yeah, you have from Comic-Con, because we got tried it at Comic-Con. So, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it was Hasbro and Harmonix. Not well. Oh. But it was Hasbro and Harmonix attempt at kind of like a Toys to Life product in a way where you like create different music mixes by dropping these physical cards onto this base, and that would mix and match the songs for you. And then there's like a point system of who scored higher, and like the cards are split into 4 colors. Like yellow would be like vocal track, or like blue would be drum track, and then each card had a power level from I think 1 to 3, and that would affect how they influence the mix. Like, is it like they take over the main beat, or do they just like add a little snare or whatever? And there are always different modes built around it, and there's like a multiplayer element and a single player element and like a puzzle game element, and it was all handled by putting a phone app on, like having a phone app, placing it next to the thing, and then all these cards having NFC in it. This game, Fuser, is basically the video game version of that, or at least it's that is the basis that Fuser builds off of. Because Harmonix is calling it a virtual music festival, which but basically you're creating DJ mixes. You're selecting parts of songs to mix and match, and they did a horrible job of showing this off in the trailer. I don't know if you saw the trailer, anyone, but it's like a minute of just like, look, this guy's DJing, but they do not explain the gameplay whatsoever. But I dug around, found some previews, sort of pieced together I think how it works, and so it actually is really cool. Like, it's a really different take on music games, which is why I wanted to point it out on the show. Because, like, it's like, don't discount this. It actually sounds really interesting. So, on the surface, like, it kind of looks like a music game. You have these 4 round record spots, and they're color-coded. Each is corresponding to a different face button on your controller, and that's also to a different part of the song. So, much like Drop Mix, you have the vocals are one color, the bass is another color, that sort of thing.
I think they're trying something new.
And, well, not really. Well, kind of. In the video game space, they are.
Yeah.
And what's kind of cool is, like, it's going to have you put down, like, a track, like a drum track or something, and it's going to put down vocals, and you have a stack of records along the top, and you actually just move your control stick up to the one you want. You have a little cursor. You pick it, drag it down, there you go. And they could do, like, bass, melody, etc. And they do all that in a way that a DJ does it. So if you put it down at the downbeat, it's technically better because it doesn't like sound out of whack, and you get more points for it or whatever. You get more audience clapping, and then much like a DJ, you get requests, and that's where the actual gameplay thing comes in. That's kind of interesting. So people can send you requests in the form, they kind of looking like little bubbles or like text messages or something, and they can be like, I want this genre, I want this style of instrumental, I want this specific song, I want something from this decade. And then once they come in, very much like Overcooked or one of those games, there's actually like, it's like an order placed, and you have to find it and feed it in a way that's like on beat in the downbeat for the maximum like points or whatever. And you're basically juggling all these different mixes while also making your mix. And so that's kind of the premise.
They're like fusing all those requests together.
Yes. You are a fuser,
if you will.
But it's a really cool idea because like you can still like have some customization. Like they're not going to necessarily always request a certain song or whatever. So if they like, I want this type of guitar, like I want a heavy metal guitar, you can have, there's like 100 licensed tracks already confirmed, and you can pick what songs you want to feature in your mix, and you get the freedom to kind of do that. and then hear the music you want to hear, but then these requests kind of fit into that. So it's actually kind of cool because it's like it's not just the the note highway of every other game that they've ever done.
Are you gonna try it?
I'm very curious to demo it. Yes, I want to see like how it plays, because if you watch footage of it, it barely makes sense. Like you see the little things come in, and you can see your music up top, and you can see your 4 things. But there's all sorts of layers to it that like I need to see how it works in reality. Because like if you are told, hey, like I love like the riff of a 70s song, you can go your little record of a 70s song, and they can pick which of the 4 elements of the song you want. The melody, the guitar, whatever it may be, and then put it in. But like I don't know in practice if just moving what amounts to a control stick's mouse cursor is going to be like fun. But it depends on how it feels. So, but conceptually, it's a really cool idea. And what's nice is for the first time, I think, ever for harmonics, you don't need to buy plastic for this thing. It's all in-game. No accessory required. So, it's coming to Switch later this year. It's published by NCSoft, of all companies.
Huh.
Right? But it's,
right.
It looks kind of cool. It looks pretty cool. So, I'm holding out hope for that one.
Portfolio, I guess.
Yeah, right? And weird how harmonics has jumped around so much. They went from Red Octane in the Guitar Hero days to EA for Rock Band, now to NCSoft, which is out of
left field.
Yeah, really out of left field. I haven't even heard the name NCSoft in a minute, but yeah. But anyway, so that's Fuser. Sounds pretty cool. I like how different it is. But now for all the great stuff we've talked about. Like I said at the top of the show before you got here, Kevin. It doesn't matter what we're into, because we're all going to die. We're all going to hell because coronavirus. So it's just going to be a hellscape that we live in. Like I never thought we'd talk about a global, obviously I'm exaggerating, but I never thought we'd talk about a sort of like global medical issue on our little Nintendo podcast. But it's hitting the game world surprisingly hard in some very significant ways. The biggest of which is they just canceled the Game Developers Conference altogether. I mean, they say they postponed it, but like, just admit defeat, you guys. They like this is to the GDC people. Like, you're refunding our tickets. It's dead. You set up a fund to help indies get their money back if they, didn't get travel insurance and couldn't.
You make it sound like GDC's dead forever.
No, but they're saying they're gonna postpone it till later this year. No, they're not. It's done. They're already giving the refunds back. Who in August is gonna be like, yeah, now it makes sense. Just wait till next year.
And are they assuming that the coronavirus, like, outbreak is going to get better?
It will. So
it's not going to get better than.
No, it will.
Not sooner than later.
Not super soon, but it will peter out a bit, potentially, supposedly. So the source of this is where I'm getting this info from is my dad, who's an infectious disease doctor, who actually the lady that's running like the U.S.'s response to the doctor who's running the U.S.'s response, like worked with like my dad and her worked together in the 80s on AIDS. So like he kind of knows what he's talking about on this one, but he doesn't think it's gonna. Yeah, it's interesting though because I was talking about it, and the thing with coronavirus, like there's obviously all this pandemonium about it, like GDC outright canceling. First of all, before we even get to that, how badly did GDC handle that whole situation? Sony pulled out a week ago. That's one company.
Sony and Facebook pulled out
right,
last week.
And then like.
Epic pulled out.
And then Unity pulled out, and Amazon pulled out, and a bunch of others pulled out. And then
Epic
for
pulled out.
3 days, the GDC organizers kept saying, no, we're still going to do the show. And in those 3 days, cancellation policies for airfare tickets were probably ending. Hotel policies were probably, you have to get in under the window. Like, there's a lot of, like, if they saw it was the dominoes were falling that fast, I feel like they should have jumped it, man. The Geneva Auto Motor Show, which gets 600,000 people. No one pulled out yet. They just collectively decided like 5 days before the show, yep, we're canceling it. Like the booths were built, the cars were there, but they just made the call, this doesn't look good. GDC was like, well, how long can we ride this out before it doesn't look good? Which just seems, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of bummed. This was good.
I mean, they were literally the last ones, it felt like.
Yeah, literally. And the thing is, like, I'm bummed about it because this was going to be my first time going to GDC ever to cover it for our little podcast here. But
there's always next year.
Yeah, there's always next year, but it's kind of funny. Like,
so we're not dead.
Yeah, assuming we're not dead. But that's the thing. So most people aren't going to die from coronavirus. So it's 100 times more deadly than the regular flu. So we're talking from like 0.1 to 1% of all people will die.
Okay, well.
The reason everyone's freaking out is more, at least according to my sources, my dad, is the it's more the mystery around it. So with the flu, 0.1% die, and 1% of a billion people is a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. 1% of 300 million people here in the States is a lot of people. But it's still not, 80%, 90%. The bigger concern is the mystery around how does this thing, what's the ebb and flow of it? Like, how do you contain it? No one knows. Where did it come from? No one really fully knows, so we can prevent it. And more to the point, where's the medicine for it, and what is that medicine, and how do we cure it? No one really knows. So like when
the World War C.
Yeah, basically, but without the zombies. But because when
that.
The flu, what?
You don't know that.
Yeah, I know. But when the flu hits every year, just get a flu shot, and they know exactly like the range at which it goes and like how many people are affected, roughly. This one, no clue, and it's spreading so fast I don't really know how to contain it, and that's why like Japan's closing schools for a month, and that's why like Disneyland, Tokyo, and Universal Osaka are closed, and that's why GEC's canceled, and possibly an F8, which is Facebook's big conference, and possibly E3 if this keeps up, which also sucks if that gets canceled because we got press credentials as an entity again this year. So if it's not canceled, expect some solid coverage from the press-only day. But if it is canceled, oh well. But yes, that's what's going on.
I like how the ESA is like, nope, we're still gonna have E3. Don't worry,
well, right now it's too early to tell. I mean, at this point, even the Olympics, like we might have to cancel, but we'll decide in May. And it's not even, and again, it's not like they expect everyone to die. Most people that get the coronavirus, it's just like a flu or a cold or nothing at all. And you can just carry it to the next person, and that's it, and you'll be fine. But it's those fringe cases, that 1%, where that could be a lot of people, but that 1% is really where it's like hitting, or where it's problematic. So, and no one really knows, no one knows how fast it spreads, so no one knows how big that 1% can get. And that's kind of the scary part of it. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, you wouldn't think this would affect gaming, but it affects it in so many ways. Like, especially now that gaming's like a culture and has like all these events all the time, like besides GDC.
Yeah.
Where you're, that's how you're about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like,
and it even affected one of the Kickstarters that I kickstarted, the Genki adapter thing.
That's the Chinese factories.
Yeah, because they were already going to ship them. They were hoping to literally have them in our hands by now, but delays in production because they couldn't get some parts.
Right.
And I mean, other than that, my
Bloodborne board game also got delayed.
Yeah, and like it's like, I mean, games are getting delayed. Well, actually, not just games, events are getting delayed. So I put a little list together.
Animal Crossing Switches.
Blizzard is canceling in Japan, but Blizzard's canceling Overwatch League matches all over Asia. The Pokemon company's canceling card game championships. SNK canceled their world championships. Fire Emblem has an expo in Japan. That's cool. I didn't know that. And they won't have swag, at least some of it, because it can't be made. My favorite one is there's I think Counter-Strike tournament in Poland that's normally an arena that somehow holds 179,000 people, which is crazy big. And they're going to play in the arena empty, no crowd. Which makes me wonder, you're playing a video game, you don't need an arena, just stream on Twitch from your homes. Like, why? But that's beside the point. My point is, like, that's a huge empty arena. They're doing soccer matches in Italy with no crowds because they need to keep the league going. Like, it's crazy. But yes, it's also delays. Like, kind of close to home with Switch, the Outer World delayed indefinitely on Switch because the company porting it is Chinese. They're going to now make up for it with a physical version of the game on an actual cartridge as well when it finally comes out, but who knows when that's going to be. And it's not just like that one instance. So many companies rely on like outsourced Chinese developers to help with assets and whatnot, and we're going to be feeling the effects of these delays probably for quite a while. There's already people sort of half seriously saying next gen could be delayed. Like, if they don't have a way to produce these PS5s or Xbox Series X's and they don't have the games for it, could next gen literally not happen until 2021 now because coronavirus? Even if we get this dealt with by June, the ripple effect, like the downwind of it, so to speak. So yeah, and like Animal Crossing, you said, yeah, they're having shortages. They had to delay the Animal Crossing Special Edition Switch in Japan because they didn't have a factory. In fact, Bloomberg put out a report last week that in addition to Japan shortages, which are both the Animal Crossing Switch and regular Switches, Nintendo may be hit by they may be hit by like really serious, but big shortages of Switches in the U.S. and in Europe as soon as April. Basically, they have enough in their channel right now to like pump out in time for Animal Crossing. But then once Animal Crossing hits and it takes off, which it probably will, and people that were waiting buy their Switches, there's been like no Switches in April because they already are getting like they're going through the backlog basically, and then that's it. And it was kind of crazy. It goes to show how global like a company like Nintendo even is, where like the issue isn't that the Switches can't be put together. That's done in Vietnam. The issue is that there's a specific component supply coming out of China, and that got bogged down. So they have all these Switches missing a component sitting in Vietnam, and then once those are done, those Switches are sent to America. The reason Japan already has shortages to the point that you can't find an OG Switch, but you can buy a Switch Lite no problem, and Switch Lite sales are going up in Japan because people just want to buy their Switches. Those Switches, the Japanese Switches, are made exclusively in China and sent over, while the American Switches are made in Vietnam and sent over. But they all pull from the same supply of a specific component in China. It's very crazy when you think about how globalization works for manufacturing.
No.
I was just speechless. But yeah, so it's literally one component is causing this whole issue because that got stopped. And what sucks for Nintendo is, according to Bloomberg...
Do you know which component it is?
I don't. They didn't say. I want to believe it's something totally like irrelevant. Like it's like, oh, this tiny little plastic nub.
Breaking
that, like,
news.
The foam that they put in the...
Yeah, the foam for the Joy-Con drift.
Joy-Cons.
But...
No, this is like breaking news as of 11 minutes ago. 3 new unexplained cases in the U.S.
Yeah. There's a whole reason for that I get to, but I'll spare it. It's not quite... It is around Nintendo,
save it for the...
Yeah, it's fine. But, to the Nintendo point, the U.S. is their biggest market. Bloomberg said 43% of Nintendo's core business is here in the States, 27% in Europe, and 21% in Japan. So if the shortage is spread, that hits Nintendo hard, bottom line-wise. And, that's why the stock market's crashing. Because, like, it's not like people are all going to die and there's no one to sell to. It's people aren't going to go outside and do things because of the fear. And more to the point, companies are all going to take hits because they can't make their stuff and they don't know for how long or at what scale they're talking or anything. And that's why we're seeing the biggest point drop in the stock market ever. So on the flip side, though, for all that, it is kind of funny. Like, the silver lining is like it's actually going to help some other game sales and some other game aspects of gaming in a way you wouldn't really think. Like, for example, in China, Ring Fit Adventure, there are shortages because people are stuck inside and want to stay fit. So they're going to try and buy it, and they can't get it because Nintendo didn't make enough because they didn't think there'd be a global pandemic. Or in Japan, like I was saying, Switch Lite sales are up significantly. Nintendo's like, well, we want to try and promote the Switch Lite more and get more people in that way. Well, they did. So, and just in time for that Coral one. And then one that I thought was really interesting that I didn't really think about, our favorite NPD analyst to name drop, Matt Piscatella. He was saying on Twitter that a lot of games with services are going to see a huge boost in revenue because if people are at home and they want to hang out with friends and they can't leave, especially in like China where they're literally locked down. They've locked down 750 million people. That's 3 USs. That's insane. But what are they going to do? They're going to go on Fortnite. They're going to go on games like that where they can voice chat and interact through the game. Likewise, subscription services will likely see boosts because people are going to try the new services with their extra free time. They maybe will go beyond the demo. Like, maybe this is what gives Stadia the audience it so desperately
Nope.
Yeah, there's no way. But in all seriousness, it does make sense. Like, I mean, if they're going to cancel GDC, you might as well network with other gamers in your Animal Crossing village or whatever. Like, in a weird way, Animal Crossing coming out right now in the midst of this, and it's all about, like, having a little virtual life with your friends and running around with your friends. I could see it actually getting a boost from this, as strange as that sounds. Like, in a weird way, it is
a morbid
kind of working in their favor. It is morbid, but it's if you're cooped up and you need something social, a socially driven game like Animal Crossing is perfect. So, just saying, like, there are silver linings to every situation from the Nintendo corporate perspective, at least. But it's definitely a strange time. Like, I can't think of a single time that this much stuff has been canceled in general, ever.
Yeah.
And maybe World War II, but like, yeah, nothing like this. Yeah, it's crazy. But with that in mind, the idea that people are going to be cooped up and need something to do, they need to play more things. Let's talk about some of the games we've been playing. Maybe as recommendations for what you guys out there need if you're hunkering down in your coronavirus bunker. whoever you are that has a coronavirus bunker. No one has a coronavirus bunker. Anyway, so do you want to go? What? That's
you do not.
Well, how did they build it so fast? Unless they're retrofitting some other bunker, in which case that's cheating. That's just a bunker.
No, but it's.
We know Jason already had a bunker.
I never have had a bunker. But anyway, I guess I can start with the one that's actually on Switch, and I can jump to Dream. Well, Kevin, have you been playing anything? We didn't get to talk to you ahead of time, so this is going to be a surprise.
I guess I'll go first. So I once played this game called What Remains of Edith Finch on the PS4.
Wait.
It was free on the PlayStation Plus.
Wait, hold on. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, well, I mean, I played that game, so I figured I might as well talk about it.
Wait, but I just played it on Switch and have a whole set of notes. Why would you do this to me?
I mean, I guess we could both talk about it.
We could both
played
talk about
it.
it. Yeah, let's both talk about it.
I mean, multiple impressions are important.
That is true. We should have a conversation about it.
All right, so actually, the funny thing is, like, upon playing this game, I realized, like, oh man, I hope this comes to Switch because it's like, I mean, I would categorize it under a walking simulator because that's kind of what you do, but this is like a walking simulator that takes it to like the next level. It's like,
it's
I'm sure Jason will go more in detail to it, but it's like one of the few games that I know, like, if Jason can beat a game, it would be a game like this.
I did, by the way. Same day.
Exactly, because it's less of a game and more of like
it's like a series of vignettes, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's an interactive novel. But
and
you know what it is?
And you don't really have to like there's nothing you get good at or anything throughout the game. You're not really learning anything. You're just kind of experiencing the whole thing.
You know what it is? It's especially on Switch.
And it's very short.
It's 3 hours. Yeah. Especially on Switch.
Literally the length of a movie. So that's kind of what you need to aim for if you want to get.
Is this that game company?
No, this is their logo's a bird.
Titmouse.
Nope.
I
forgot what their name
Behemoth.
is. I forgot what their name is. But
nope.
Basically, I was half expecting you to be like Twitter. No, but basically, like, to your point about like, yeah, it's on. It seems like it should be on Switch. It feels like the video game equivalent of curling up with like a good book when the weather outside's really bad, which is perfect when there's coronavirus. You could curl up with this as the world outside melts down. But no, it's
Are you keeping track of how many times they said coronavirus this episode?
Well, a lot, because it's a very relevant topic.
No, legitimately.
Oh, we could do a count somehow. I have not kept count.
I'm guessing.
Take a shot every time I say coronavirus, and you'll be dead from the alcohol poisoning well before you get sick.
I'm guessing 15.
Probably, but
Giant Sparrow.
Giant Sparrow. There it is.
Oh, they did Unfinished Swan. Yeah, that.
Yeah, and there may be some small spoilers. I'm going to try and keep it minimal. Second of all, I should mention the only reason I even have this game, and I'm very glad I do because I had no idea. Like, I knew it won awards, but I never really like paid attention to it. And then Target at 2 a.m. on a random Tuesday night, I don't know why I was awake, had it for $1. They glitched out. It's supposed to be $20 eShop download. And I'm like, sure, it's a reward-winning game. And I'm so happy.
What a terrible person.
I'm so that I
you
got.
Should donate.
No. That's on Target. The developer doesn't not see that money. Target paid for the codes up front. It's fine. Or however they do that. Like, they buy them wholesale or whatever, but they got their cut. It's fine. But I'm very happy I discovered it because, yeah, you're right. It is a walking simulator, a narrative-driven one. But it has a really cool... Well, this is my first walking simulator, first of all. But secondly, it has a really cool narrative structure. It has those vignettes. They are strung together. You're basically a granddaughter exploring her old family house. And each vignette is a different style of gameplay, a different style of experience. There's one that's an interactive comic book, complete with cel-shaded graphics. There's another clever one that plays out entirely through the lens of a camera as you take pictures of events. All you do is like focus and shoot, like that's literally it, and then it progresses that way. There's another one later in the game I don't want to spoil too much, but does a really cool thing where you're doing two different things at once, but it makes total sense with the narrative, and the way they do it and how it builds is like incredibly well done. Yeah, it really like it's cool. And what works so well, in my opinion, is that by offering these different gameplay styles within these vignettes, it fixes the issue that I always thought walking simulators would have, which is everything's the same. You're just moving forward because you are moving forward. Which is like the big downfall.
Because I mean, a lot of the first or a couple like walking simulators, they're pretty much just walking from place to place, and you're just hearing a lot of dialogue. Sometimes you're finding like
right.
You know, like there's that one of the first few that I remember, Dear Esther, where you're just kind of like reading a bunch of letters. You're walking through like a garden. You're walking through nice looking paths, but you're. I mean, that's kind of where like the name even came from, walking, because you're just kind of walking.
Yeah,
like there's no real gameplay to speak of. It's supposed to be all about the narrative.
But this one mixes it up. Which is
this one
nice.
is like kind of both. Like they really went all out. Like you're doing more than just walking. I mean, yeah, you are just following a straight path.
And it's always the exact same button inputs. There's one action button and one stick, but they mix it up so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's
like I really like the one where like you're playing as a frog in a bathtub.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't say like what it represents.
Right.
But,
yeah. Yeah, that one's really good. And what's cool is like they are able to toy with gameplay concepts that wouldn't last more than 5 minutes in a real game. Like the frog in the bathtub, you're just bouncing around as a frog. Like that's not a real like you can't build a level around that in a normal game. But in this, for that short vignette, it makes sense. Or
the
like
music and everything around it.
Yeah, and then there's like one where you're swinging on a swing faster and faster, and that's like again, it's almost like WarioWare, but like solemn. Like it's also, you know what I mean? Like it has kind of that.
Well, I don't even want to say tech demos, but like
no, they're fully thought out.
No,
they all flow together really well.
Not tech, but like it's like the equivalent of like a short, because like a lot of shorts are very experimental. Even like Disney gets like a very experimental in their shorts sometimes. So it feels like a bunch of different like indie shorts that they just kind of put together, or they found a nice narrative to string.
Yeah, and they're so well put together. Like really, the whole presentation is just top notch across the board. I feel like the way they overlay.
Even some of these are like, oh, I wonder what this would look like a full game. I'm mainly thinking of like the one where you're like a sea monster.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of cool. And I just like the way they did the games and the way they string them together and the way they even like overlay the dialogue text and have it like interact with the world. Like you open a gate and it smashes into the words and the words scatter everywhere. Like that's cool. There's one mini game you do where you're a kite and you're like flying around and basically destroying like an outdoor reception as wind. And like the chairs become the words describing the narrative that's being spoken to you with the voice, like with the voiceover. Like it's all really well done. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's really well done.
And I mean, a lot of games like they can get artsy, but I feel like this one, like, I don't know, it just does a good job.
It does it really well, and like I have some nitpicks. I don't know if this was true of the PlayStation version, but on the Switch version, like the game's graphics are sometimes too dark for their own good. Like I actually had to turn off my auto brightness on my Switch and crank it up all the way to be able to see some stuff because it went total black, which isn't great.
Definitely wasn't an issue on the PS4.
I mean, it was only a couple times, like 2 or 3.
I mean,
there are some minor...
One too many.
Yeah, I agree. There are also some minor slowdowns. I played in handheld mode because I like being like curled up like it was a book, basically. I was just laying on the couch. But there was also some minor slowdowns in handheld mode. Nothing...
Definitely not on the PS4. I mean, of course not. A PS4 Pro. But...
Yeah, and again, nothing show-stopping, especially given the game's slower pace, but you do notice like a stutter here and there.
Unless you're playing on the PS4.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Son. Remember when you were getting mad that I kept saying you work for PlayStation, so of course you're going to say that? You're sitting here pitching that. No, okay. But the...
Well, I mean, I'm just kind of reminding people that's not indicative of every version.
No. I'm specifically talking about the Switch version. Yeah. That's why I said at the top that, like, specifically Switch handheld mode, this is my experience with it. Yeah. Like reading a book. But the story itself, we should probably touch on that without spoiling anything. It gets pretty dark. Get ready for emotions. I thought they did like a really good job of setting up each character in the vignette into someone you'd like, only to have it take a dark turn with each character. Like I thought that was the way they kind of built them up was for the most part. Yeah. I think maybe there are 2 that they rushed through and I'm like, oh, but the others were really well done.
Yeah, I thought this was honestly like a really good example. Kind of like, I mean, yeah, you have like the Telltale games that are trying not to be they're trying to be a big story they're trying to tell, but without taking advantage of the video game medium. I feel like this kind of does a better job of kind of showing you something else that you could do with video games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like a whole like untapped market. Like, I mean, you have your walking simulators, but I feel like this is like a whole other level where you can get a unique level of engagement that you normally don't get, in books, movies, or even other narrative-driven games. I feel like this is something that could appeal to a lot of people like Jason, who normally don't beat anything.
So, I beat it in basically one sitting.
Yeah, because like it's really engaging. I mean, there are stopping points where you can go like, all right, I'll stop here because I just finished this vignette. But the way it ends, and because how you just kind of discover like, oh, there's now a secret passage here behind this, you want to keep going. And I feel like there should be more of this, like, because it's kind of unfair to call it a game and just like a walking simulator. It's like somewhere.
I want to call it like a storybook game or like a story tale. Like there's got to be a term for it that's better than walking simulator.
Yeah, because I mean that's the closest word
like
I have.
Narrative led first person adventure. I don't know. I will say, by the way, to your point about
it's an experience for sure.
To your point about how like it builds and you want to keep going. You know, one thing I thought was really cool is the symbolism as you climb higher up the house and higher up the family hierarchy, like in tandem. Because as you start learning more about more recent people and that sort of thing, like you literally go higher and higher up this crazy house that starts looking pretty normal and then gets kind of whimsical as you go. And it's such, they just do. I can't say enough about this game. Like it's a really unique, cool experience, and I think it's really turned me on to this walking simulator genre. Assuming, and that's what I wanted to ask you about, Angel, and I guess kind of if you played any games like this. I want to try more of these. I think I kind of want to try Firewatch now. I'm curious about Gone Home, but I don't know. I don't know if they have this much variety or not.
I mean, you would have to play the one that came out. I think
they're all on Switch.
I think if they came out in the last 10 years, you're good.
Yeah, like Firewatch I've heard great things about.
Yeah, that's right. Anything before that, and you're probably not going to get the same level of engagement with
like Dear Esther or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, you're going to have to really enjoy the story to just keep walking.
Right.
That's all it's really going to offer.
Right.
There's other ones kind of Bound on the PS4. That one just came to mind just because it uses VR as kind of its equivalent to Dear Esther's whimsical house and stuff like that. I mean, this one is a whole VR experience. You're kind of just walking, but everything around you is just so whoa, what's going on? But it's a tale about pregnancy and stuff.
I can't wait for next episode where we start the show with me going, "Hi, I'm Jason," and you going, "Hi, I'm Angel." Brought to you by Sony PlayStation. But
not sponsored.
What?
Nothing. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Hashtag not spawn. But
and as I say that, the next game we're talking about is.
Oh, but real quick, one last thought. I was just gonna say, so if anyone out there who's listening has recommendations for these sorts of games on Switch, at JSR7 is my Twitter. I'd love to hear them because I think this is my I just like in general it's the right length, it's the right type of engagement. You can't win or lose. You're just experiencing something, but experiencing it in a way, to Angel's point a minute ago, that you can't do in any other format, and it's really cool. And especially on Switch because you could literally just play it on anywhere. It's really cool. So
yeah, games don't have to be 10 plus hours, but
no.
And I mean, I guess it's also where you kind of have to decide, or I guess you only paid $1, but I mean it's $20.
Well, I was about to bring that up. Even if I paid the other $19 and paid $20,
because I mean you're definitely getting more. I mean,
I pay $15, $16 for a movie.
Yeah, but
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and you're actually.
And I'm getting more out of this than a movie.
Yeah, because
I'm engaged.
Yeah.
I'm engaged with movies, but I'm interacting.
Yeah.
So I would say
you're literally driving the story along. So
yeah, I mean it depends. It kind of depends on what your viewpoint is on the price, right? Because there's times we've talked about indie games for $8 it's not worth the value. It's not much content. But that's a traditional game with levels or whatever. Yeah. But with this, if you look at it as a movie, you're interacting with. It's a movie plus a 4DX of a movie.
It's definitely more comparable to that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I don't think that's crazy at all. Firewatch, I think, is also $20, and I have no problem paying that. And I think it's about the same one. So what I'm saying is, in the coming weeks and months, you're probably going to hear impressions from me of other games like this. But if you have any that you know, again, please do tell me. I am very, very, very interested. Yep. Now you were going to bring up your game, I think.
Yeah, and we already mentioned at the top, but I did get a free copy of this from Sony.
Yep.
But yeah, Dreams is Media Molecules, Little Big Planet people. I already fan of those first few games, but this one, I mean, to your point, they barely marketed it, so I almost didn't even really know when it was coming out.
I didn't know it was out until you told me you played it.
The only time I ever heard anything about it was from the E3s or your conventions where they would put out this trailer and we're all right, cool, this looks really weird, but when is it coming out? What even is it? What does the interface look like? And man, this game is... It's just potential, the game, and it's just nuts what people have created with this. So essentially, it's a Little Big Planet on steroids. Media Molecule seems to have been dead set on just creating a toolkit for people to make games on. Think your Mario makers and stuff like that. Except you could literally make anything. It's crazy when I say anything, your imagination is literally your only limit. People have created first-person shooters, they've created platformers, they've created Telltale style games. They've recreated just about every game you could think of.
Yeah, didn't someone?
They've remade Mario 64. They've remade Donkey Kong Country. They've remade Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Someone did Spy Hunter.
Sometimes the games look so good and so one-to-one to what they made that you're wait, is that the game, and then you're like, oh, okay, because they have the watermark in the corner, made in dreams, which for that reason they kind of have to, because people have made really cool looking like Sonic games that look like sometimes equivalent to what like Sega has made, and it's like, whoa, it's just like a little tech demo. People have made full on like Crash Bandicoot games where we have like level select where you can actually select the world, it'll take you into the world. It's nuts.
How do they do that with a PS4 controller? Like how?
That's what kind of blows my mind, that it's just with the PS4 controller. They've made like a Mario 64 world where you could run around the castle, go inside, jump into a painting, go to the level select, pick the level, and then start like the freaking like Thwomp's Tower. It's like, what?
How do you do that
and
with
the models
an analog
look really
stick?
good too. Like Mario looks like Mario. Like I don't know. It's
Angel, you played the game. Tell me, how do you do this with an analog stick?
Well, that's the thing. That's why like I want to talk about it more later, unless Kevin knows. But I've only really just been playing other people's games.
I see.
Just kind of seeing like what's been out there. Like you see a lot of really good like, whoa, like this has put a lot of thought and soul into it. And sometimes you also play some stuff that like they're trying to be funny, or it's just so bad, but because of that it's hilarious. Like we played, someone made Kong Skull Island the game, and you could, I guess, like record dialogue off of anything and just put it there, because you could hear like that song that plays in the beginning of Kong Skull Island. I don't know what it is, but it starts with the electric guitar. It's like red, white, and blue something. That's one of the lyrics at some point, but they pretty much play that song. You have like all the helicopters, and they're just playing for a while. It's like they're trying to remake the intro, and it's just so comically bad. But eventually they get to Skull Island, and suddenly you're King Kong, but he just looks like an angry, I don't know, like an angry like human-sized person, even though he's clearly supposed to be bigger because the camera's panned back. But also like, and then the way he runs, it's like all his weight are on the bottom of his feet, so as soon as he starts to move, he leans really hard in whatever direction you start moving. So he's like leading with his head. So basically he looks really drunk.
So he's Naruto running without the arms?
Yeah, without the arms. So he just looks really, really drunk, and it just looks like hilarious. And then I don't know, so you have like games like that are just, like the physics are like what's going on. You have a bunch of like, here's Godzilla destroying buildings, but sometimes like that's all it is, just like a little tiny sandbox. I don't know. And then we also played someone like made a Silent Hill game with like Norman Reedus. They even had like
they recreated PT.
I was about to say they redid PT.
Not well, yeah. I don't know that, but like this one is like they tried to make their own game where all the people, they talk with their teeth. Like they have lips, but like the lips don't move. You just see like their teeth flap and that's how they talk. It's kind of weird, but
very weird.
Yeah, I mean honestly, like the game is only $39, which I'm kind of surprised given like what you can do with it.
Right.
But it's on the cheaper end, so if you happen to have a PS4 and you just want to see what people can come up with, like if I were to get Mario Maker, like I mean, and on the first Mario Maker that I did have, I pretty much just ended up playing other people's stuff. I don't think I would create something, especially with something this in depth. I think I would just get too intimidated. So I'd rather just hope and see like, oh, maybe someone created a Ninja Turtle level. I'm sure.
Did someone create a Ninja Turtle Dreams?
I wouldn't be surprised if someone.
What are they called, the creations? Dreamscapes?
I don't know, but it is.
I think when you play like multiple levels at a time, I think they call it dream surfing or something, right? Dream surfing.
That's a pretty good name.
Something like that. Well, but the way that you're like earlier when you were like,
do you know what the interface even looks like?
No, I don't. But what I was just gonna bring up.
It's a control stick.
Well, you can also use move controllers, and that's specifically how like a lot of people do like sculpting with the move controllers.
And I assume you could do it with PlayStation VR, and do like basically 3D sculpt in front of you.
Well, I mean, you don't need the VR for, but I guess that would work as well. So you can like
walk around it, or whatever. Huh.
I have heard that some people would like a mouse and keyboard for that, and I don't know if this game supports it. But to what you were saying is like how like Little Big Planet. I don't know if you ever saw the creation suite for Little Big Planet.
I have the same question about Little Big Planet. I never understood how any of these games.
It was
were.
mainly supposed to be like you create your 2D platformers in the first
I know, and
one.
people made like racing games and all sorts of stuff.
People created like a almost working like Windows XP like the start screen, and you can actually go to Paint and like actually paint stuff.
Right. And again,
like,
I've had the same question since Little Big Planet moved beyond just a simple level creator.
It's just like manipulation of the tools that they have.
But it's just so crazy because like that dexterity you need with a DualShock control stick, it's insane.
I mean, I guess like it's not surprising that people will come up with these crazy. I mean, like, look at Minecraft. Like, with just like redstone and pistons, people literally created a full working computer in it. They actually created like a working like Pokemon Red and Blue. They've created like a phone that they actually were able to order pizza with. Like, it's crazy, and that's literally just like pistons. They created like in Mario Maker, people created a working calculator because they knew where to hit the red shelf so they could hit the ice blocks to move up and down. Like, there's no programming in Mario Maker, but people created because at the end of the day, computers are just a bunch of like
zeros and ones.
Well, yeah, zeros and ones meaning like an open state of yes and then a closed state of no. So if you figure out how to convert that, then
it should. I guess.
Except this is actually giving you more direct tools. So you could have cutscenes. You could have, like literal, actual animated cutscenes. People have created like mini movies in these.
Wow.
Because you don't even have to make the games. You could have like
wow. And I guess there's something we said that creativity always seems to thrive under like restraints of sorts, or not restraints, but like people the more it becomes a challenge and people try and find ways around it. Like one of the big complaints when Twitter jumped from 140 to 280 is like, oh, it's good, like people could just they're not gonna hone in their message. They're not gonna do
something
whatever.
Someone created in dreams. It's a Yoshi in Green Hill Zone.
Ooh, wow.
It's
like basically Super Monkey Ball, but it's Yoshi in Green Hill Zone. But think Super Monkey Ball.
It's a very rotund Yoshi.
A very rotund Yoshi. That's a picture of some food. Don't tell me that was Made in Dreams.
This is Made in Dreams.
Are you kidding?
Let me see.
I love...
What the heck?
I love when we do the parts of the podcast where we look at things that we can't describe. It's a photorealistic photo of some eggs and other eggs
like sausage.
And beans.
There's a
and
mushroom
sausage,
somewhere in there. That was Made in Dreams.
Someone made this in Dreams with a DualShock controller,
or move controller, but regardless, yeah, it's incredibly
like,
impressive what people can do,
and it has a fully rendered table,
and like there's a Super Mario 64,
and that's Mario 64 in Dreams. So it's like so if you guys know Mario 64, imagine that, and it's exactly the same. This is insane.
Yeah, they picked the level, and it's like...
Again, I don't doubt people's creativity. I just don't understand how you have the dexterity to do this with a DualShock. Or the patience. Like, oh my God.
Because you're done with it, you're like, what did you accomplish? I just remade
a game
version
of... the fourth port of Mario 64.
You might as well just create something... I mean, if you have the talent to create that or the patience, you might as well create something new and original.
But also people are... But, if they want to make a tribute to a thing, because for them, it's...
Hey, and I get a kick out of watching these remakes. Though,
and I was going to say, like, not only that, but, like, it's kind of like... you could be a hacker, or you could be the guy that goes and finds exploits and reports them in like an open bug bounty. Like
people do that.
Cut from a security researcher. So it's like it's that sort of mindset. You could create something new, or you could just really want to like do something with something that's already there. So before we go way down this rabbit hole of Dreams, because no one else can see it.
Yeah, look at this like Sonic level. They even have like the tricks that you could do in the air.
Oh yeah.
Although it looks like he's just gliding through the air now. Yeah, there it goes. Oh my God, that looks like straight up like Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, they even have like the boost mechanic.
This is insane.
And they even have homing attacks and
grinding. We should. No one can see these, so I'm gonna give a recommendation.
It literally looks like you're playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
It straight up does. This is insanity.
You have the light dash somehow.
It has some questionable texture work on some of the level parts.
Hey, well, I mean, considering...
But I couldn't do that. Oh my God, I just noticed how vast the background is.
I know, it's...
So, listen,
I didn't even comprehend that right now until you said the background. I was like, oh my God.
It looked like it was a made by Sega game. So, two things. One, remember at the top of the show when we were talking about Sonic, or not the top, but when we were talking about Sonic, we were saying, how did they not release the game? Sega, your game exists. It's in Dreams. Just put it on a disc, ship it out. You're fine. That's number one. Number two, before we go way down this rabbit hole, we should just wrap this and tell people, go to YouTube, search Dreams.
I'm sure you could type anything Dreams.
Search Dreams breakfast. You got to see that breakfast.
Yeah, you got to see that on Google. Like Google that.
It's insane how like photorealistic this thing is.
You know that meme of like go on Google and search your name, the Hedgehog, and something will come up? I think you can do that for Dreams. Just anything Dreams, you'll get it. And it's worth your time. So on that note, unless there's anything else, I guess we're going to wrap so everyone can go explore Dreams. So they call it Dream... What are you doing with your hands?
I'm trying to switch orientation.
Oh, okay.
But you could rap, Jason.
No, I meant... Yeah, I am. WRAP. We're going to wrap it up. So, that does it for this episode. Our next episode is going to be on March 15th. It's going to be the calm before the Animal Crossing storm. I'm not sure what exactly that entails. We'll see what the news cycle gives us. We have yet to get a dedicated, full, multi-game Nintendo Direct, opposed to these spin-off Directs. So maybe we'll get one of those. Who knows?
But maybe not.
Or maybe not. But maybe I'll have another walking simulator to talk about if someone gives me a recommendation, or I'll check out Firewatch. Who knows? The only way to find out is to, if you care to find out, is to subscribe to us on all the podcasting apps. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube. Our channel is ramtel.com. We're also on Pandora.
Ninja Turtle and Dream.
There's Ninja Turtle and Dream. See, this could be you guys at home. You could be Googling this instead of listening to us now. But don't yet, because I also need to remind you to follow us on Twitter at Ram Nintendo. And you can follow us individually on Twitter. I am JSR7.
Oh, wow. That was literally it.
Oh, that's the end of it?
Yeah.
Don't look up that one.
Like after a few seconds, I'm like, did you enjoy that? Select it with yes or no.
That was it? That's lame. Anyway, so you can follow me on Twitter at JSR7.
Hey, it's more effort than I would have put already. So.
Fair enough. You can follow Angel on Twitter at Wero, WEIRO_O, where who knows, maybe he'll tweet out some of these dream videos for you to see. Hint, hint, Angel, you should do that. Or you can follow Kevin on Twitter at KVN Gomez. Kevin gets the final word as always. Luckily, he showed up just in time for it. But before that, I would like to remind everyone to wash your hands because there's diseases afoot. And with that said, you can have the actual final word.
Wash your hands, people.